What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the Brio Beardscape, my favorite new buzzer. The Beardscape is sick. Here's the deal. Just about every guy I know owns a trimmer. The battery-powered or plug-in ones that you use to trim your beard or maybe your balls. And just about every guy has a bad experience with one. I've had cheap ones that I bought at drugstores. I've had attachments go missing. I've had motors die. I've had batteries wear out, you name it. The Beardscape solves all that. It's light, it comes in a great little travel case, so it's easy to take on the road with you. The battery lasts 180 minutes of use with an actual minute indicator on it, so you know how much juice you've got left. For me, 180 minutes is basically a year worth of buzzing. And then it's got a ceramic blade, which doesn't stain the way that stainless steel blades, I know that's an oxymoron, but it stays sharp longer. It doesn't get rusted the way that stainless steel can. The Beardscape is it's great. It's got good torque. It's got a nice motor in it, and it's a really, really quality product. I like it a lot. It may be time for you to upgrade to the Beardscape. Go to Brio4life.com. That's Brio, the number 4, life.com, and use code SMOKING at checkout to get yourself the Brio Beardscape at the best price on the internet, my friend. Brio4life.com, code SMOKING for the Brio Beardscape. Autotempest.com is here for you, folks. It's here for you. What it does is it makes your life easier by saving you time and therefore saving you money. I like to look at cars sometimes. I like to check the market, see what certain cars are worth. But maybe you like to look at cars, maybe you don't, but you're always eventually going to be looking for a new car. And Autotempest.com makes that so much easier because rather than going to all of these different sites and opening like a dozen tabs on your computer, Autotempest looks through all of those sites for you. And then it compares those results to Craigslist nationally and Auto Trader. All of the biggest marketplaces for cars, all in one place at Autotempest.com. Saves you time, it saves you money, and it helps organize that giant world of used cars out there. So check it out and save yourself some time at Autotempest.com. And of course, Continental belts and hoses are in the house. When you service your car, you're probably thinking about fluids and filters. You're probably not thinking belts and hoses, but you should be. Check out your belts and your hoses next time you look under the hood. If they're dry, cracking, or brittle looking, or fading in color, it may be time to replace them. And if so, you're going to want to think about Continental belts and hoses. They just launched the aftermarket Multi-V belt. It's got the OE pedigree, and what that means is Continental makes the original equipment belts for like 98% of vehicles on the road. The majority of BMWs and Volkswagens, all of the Chrysler, Dodge, Ford, and GM vehicles, they're out there, and that engineering can get into your car even in the aftermarket. You get enough surprises under the hood. Don't let a blown belt or hose be one of them. Go with the Continental OE Technology Series Multi-V belt, the belt with the OE pedigree. To get the full story, visit oetechnologyseries.com. All right, on this episode, an old friend stops by. Mr. Dan Neal is the automotive critic for the Wall Street Journal. He is the only automotive critic to have won a Pulitzer Prize. His writing is incredibly SAT word-filled. And he's had some amazingly interesting experiences. He has a very unique perspective on cars. And I did a TV show with him back in the day that was really fun. So here he is in studio, Dan Neal of the Wall Street Journal on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
Yeah. Let's go to the wide, and there we are. Yeah. Smoking Tire Podcast. Hello, folks. Hi. Are we live? Do we have an audience? Mm-hmm. Can we call this a show? It's fucking Friday at 5:30. We have to do all our shows in the afternoon now because that giant construction site outside. Not mine, the pipeline joint.
I saw that. Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, so we have limited office hours. Otherwise, yeah, sure, do a show if you like the sound of jackhammering.
I was sitting the other day. I haven't worried about it, and it was just loud. I'm like, what if that gas main explodes?
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm sitting right here, and that's how it ends.
You won't feel it. You won't feel it.
I won't. Probably mad. I'll still be mad somehow.
I gotta say, what if?
Dan Neal,
So
the Wall Street Journal is in the house.
Thank
Hi,
you
Dan.
so much. Hey, how are you? It's nice
Welcome
to see
back.
you. Great to see you, Zach. Great to see you. And now, will you move the studio over to?
If it explodes?
No, I'm saying to the new building.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's a spot in the new building for the Smoking
There's
Tire.
a new studio, and it's going to be way better than this studio.
Okay, all right.
This studio is a piece of shit.
Is it fair to say you've built a studio with a 40-car garage attached to it? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
No. It's the studio itself is not going to be fancy. Originally, the plan was fancy. Originally, the plan was like Corolla digital kind of shit. And then we were like, that's not really necessary. So it's basically going to be a room about this size that has a window to the outside and another window into the car warehouse. And we're going to set it up sort of like this, except the producer's chair, where Zach is at now, is going to be at the end of the table. And so the producer will have to sit behind monitors, but it'll just be better.
Wow. Well, it's too bad.
I'm sure that's very interesting to the people at home. But,
you could do it on the top of your house, but microphones would pick up too much wind, and that would be a problem.
Yeah, no, it'd be like filming recording at Willow Springs.
Right. Hey,
we don't want to. We originally considered a home studio, and then decided for parking reasons, which you well know, that we should abandon that plan.
Oy vey. Hey, can I ask you a question first? What have you driven fast at Willow lately, or this
at Willow?
At Willow,
specifically at Willow.
Yeah, because I saw
nothing in a long time. I've actually had a disproportionate number of days at Auto Club Speedway this year. So far,
really?
Which you can go fast.
You can go way faster than Willow
Really?
Springs.
Really?
Well, it's half of a NASCAR track.
Is this a like a lapping days kind of deal?
Yeah, HPD stuff. But you showed up in a 720S Spider, which is the best.
It's really nice.
What's the name of that color you brought? The blue.
Oh, I don't know.
It's the dark blue.
Well, can I say it's fuck me blue? I think is a good.
But you don't know the
color.
I'm sure you would.
Well, it is. Yeah, there's.
Do you have the key in your pocket? It might say it on the key.
And that's a good thought.
It usually does.
I'll check.
But it's that super hot electric blue that they do. Mm-hmm. And how nice are those glass buttresses?
Oh, everything about that car, especially when you talk about the atmospherics, like sitting in the car, and the fact that you can see through those pillars because they're so slim, and the fact that you've got the glass in the back drops down, and you've got the transparent pillars. It's an unusual feeling. It's almost motorcycle like.
Yeah,
definitely open wheel like.
Yeah, it's you have like a cockpit, but you also have kind of this like you're in the outside. It's like you actually have a nice outdoor feel.
And I did have a moment where it did feel kind of McLaren-esque in the fact that you look down and the chop of the nose is so steep that you just see the road.
Yeah.
And you are kind of sitting in between the tires like the old McLarens.
Yeah.
And, so they're brilliant.
But at that track,
building.
Auto Club Speedway,
oh yes,
181 miles an hour I saw on the front straight there. 180 fucking one. I've never seen that on a racetrack before. Other than the Nürburgring or maybe Spa. I don't think that's even possible in a street car in most places.
I've seen it, but it's high. It's super high. It definitely is. I have to say it, but it's
as high as I suspect you are.
Well, no. Here's the thing. Hardly. It's a monastic life I live. I was invited to drive the Celebrity E-Pace race before.
No fucking way. Before the Formula E.
I'm sorry. It's the I-Pace. You got to get it clear. That's the electric, right?
Which is very confusing.
Right, exactly. Because they were a little late on the...
I is electric, E is a side... Yeah,
and intellectual property, of course, is IP.
I means electric, E means small.
Trademark, registered trademark. So anyway, that's why they didn't call it that. I got invited, but they said they needed an FIA license, competition license, and they said, do you have one current? I said, no, I've got a Porsche master's degree from the crazy place in Alabama, which anybody who can fog a mirror can get.
Yeah,
I
have a good line. Yeah. I have a certificate that you can just buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that okay?
Well, here's the great thing. I also have something called the FIA Unlimited license. Now, when I did top speed testing at Talladega many years ago, we did a thing. It was Saab, right? And it was 30 days at Talladega, and they were setting all kinds of endurance records.
I remember
and they
that.
had teams
cool.
of people come in and drive. It was really cool because I did, 4 or 5 stints. Maxed out 150 miles an hour, never lifting, all the way around.
Did you set the cruise control, or did you even bother with
You could. It was like when your foot got tired. The thing is that your foot would get tired.
Yeah.
And it was, we were like right at the edge, chipping along at the top bank of Talladega. I must have. I don't know. I might have 400 or 500 laps there. It was like a monster.
In a Saab 9000.
Exactly. In a Saab 900, but it was all turbo because the top speed was 150.
What year are we talking
about? This is
1992,
3, something like that.
Is this the Saab Aero?
It probably was in that
900 Aero, maybe.
Well,
right?
Aero was a little bit more cosmetic, but these were.
Can you get the Saab top speed
check,
records?
at Talladega.
It was a known thing. It was cool.
Yeah,
I remember because it was like 24 hours at top speed or some shit, right? It was something like that.
Right. Well, it set that record. It set a bunch of intermediate records. It set, the 2-liter 24-hour endurance, and then the 2-liter 2-week endurance.
2-week endurance.
It just went on and on and on.
Did they have a game?
The people in Georgia were delighted.
One car, right?
Alabama. Huh?
Did they break anything on the car?
No, not just one car. Many cars.
Oh, okay.
Many cars. Oh my God, the track was filled with.
Wait, this is old as 09.
No, this is it. It's from Hemmings, but it's talking about it back in the day.
What's the date?
It said it was, I think it said 96 in Wikipedia.
Yeah. Anyway, I was one of the drivers there.
Yeah.
I got this.
The Saab 06 new generation 900s to mount the Saab 900 Talladega Challenge.
That's it.
6 months and $1.23 million.
Yeah. I know. That's like tip money these days. But anyway,
that's great.
Yeah.
Some will be driven by professional drivers. Some will be done by journalists. Every journalist will get 2 model variants.
Around the clock for 200 hours. Oh my God.
That's wow.
I miss Saabs, man.
That's right.
Saabs were rad.
It averaged 143 for 12 hours, which was 2 miles an hour faster than the day previous. So that's exciting.
Well, it was
a weird, weird record.
No, but listen,
why aren't we going for some of these? By the way.
Oh well,
do this.
As I was just saying about the VW IDR, I'm sure you read my seminal work on the.
There's a paywall.
Yeah, we got paywalled out. Sorry. All right. Well, seminal work notwithstanding. No, honestly, the deal is this. VW is reduced to doing these kinds of stunts and demonstrations like they did in the early days of barnstorming automobiles, like Daimler and like Benz and like Ford and the old 999, all of the Barney Oldfield, all of these stunts were done to prove the reliability, the desirability of cars. And
other than the Nürburgring record, do we have stunts? I guess is Pikes Peak. Are we talking? Are we
Pikes Peak,
as a
but
stunt?
listen,
that's motorsport.
See now,
motorsport is stunt.
No,
that's like but that's like a development.
I think like towing the space shuttle across a bridge.
I hate
is a
that
stunt.
fucking
That's
stunt.
the dumbest shit in the world.
That's really harsh. Maybe you should back off from that. Just a bit dumbest shit in the world.
There are humans that can pull the space shuttle. A human being has pulled planes.
I saw a lot of anti-vaxxers today too. Just speaking, I don't know why it came to mind, but anyway,
I agree with Matt completely. I wrote a very long rant about this in 2010 on the website. I was fucking pissed.
It's okay. Anyway, where were we?
Because when they go, the new
Stunts.
Tundra can tow a plane, and you're like,
Stunts.
here's a guy towing a plane. Same. So
well, there,
it's just physics. It's just that's
there
all it is.
There are real stunts, and then there are fake stunts. Well, you think of the Blue Train, Bentley. That was a stunt, but it was also a real demonstration power. You talk about what was the Ford GT at Le Mans all about? It was competition, but it was also a demonstration.
I agree. I
remember when the Mercedes C111. It was a diesel-powered streamliner at 400 kph, 1989, something like that. That was a demonstrator. And then Craig Breedlove and all of these people.
No,
right?
those are great, awesome things. I'm not disagreeing with you.
But hear me out now. So these cats who did the VW, the IDR, which went around the ring in 605. and which was smoking. I mean,
Yeah.
you could barely see
the video is
so
crazy.
fast.
You could barely see the goddamn thing going past. It was so exciting. I mean,
Were you there?
yeah, I was there.
Oh,
I went
awesome.
for it just to write about it and I was the
Sorry,
only
paywall.
American there. No,
I'm serious. I'm
damn,
sorry.
that's harsh. That's really
flew
cold.
six
No,
people.
it's not.
Is that going to be on my tombstone? You
No,
know,
I didn't see it.
Paywall.
It's not like I saw it and went, "Oh fuck this paywall."
No,
I might have just not seen it. Did it come out while I was on the honeymoon? Is that why I missed
Oh,
this?
could be. Oh,
When did it come out?
Have I been? When did you have a honeymoon?
Like 2 weeks ago.
Oh well, then it was right when.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
there
Sorry,
you
I was
go.
on an internet break. I'm sorry,
Oh
Dan.
no, I'm.
So what was
now,
it like?
now I'm the schmuck.
Well,
because,
fucking you tell me. You tell me about what it was like to go to the Nürburgring then.
Well, first I went to Pikes Peak last year to see this car run, and then it blew my mind. It went at Pikes Peak like a bat out of hell, and the people who were putting it together were really cool. And then they rejiggered the car. They went to Goodwood. They stormed that. Then
they had a big fucking code brown at Goodwood. You see that slide?
Yeah, of course. This is not a chip shot. None
He
of
had
this
a
is,
big oh shit moment at Goodwood Festival of Speed where the two rear wheels were in the grass, basically sideways. He recovered it, but it was gnarly.
Yeah, well,
it was good.
Mr. Dumas is quite.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah,
You're basically running like a 1,200 horsepower up a driveway.
Well, now hang on. It's not don't crazy. Dig this. Now it's 600 horsepower. It's 1,200 kilograms. Now it can discharge at about 800 kilowatts, and it can go around the ring in 605. So after they conquered this, they said, well, what else should we do? They're actually asking for things, suggestions, what to do. I suggested Talladega, and I suggested going after Davey Allison's 221, the closed course record.
I like that.
Right, and they said, well, and I was talking to the main guy. His name's Mike. It's a Dutch spelling. Oh, sorry, it's a Dutch spelling of Mike. M-A-Y-K.
Oh.
So cool.
M-A-Y-K.
Yeah, you pronounce it Mike.
I would
Mike.
pronounce that make.
Well, of course, until someone corrected you and said Mike. Yeah.
So they're like wrong country.
Anyway, he said they were looking for things to do with this car, and so the Talladega thing bubbled up. There's good reasons and bad reasons.
The Bill Elliott Daytona record? Is that 240?
No.
What's the
Allison
NASCAR?
Allison.
Is it Allison?
Allison.
Is that
220.
the all-time fastest recorded NASCAR
Close course?
lap?
No, it's close course. It's not just NASCAR. 221.
What year?
It's like
87?
No, Zach, would you
What am I looking up?
help a brother out?
Could
It
have
is.
sworn there was a Bill Elliott qualifying record
Look up
from
Allison.
like 87.
Look up Allison closed course record Talladega.
I don't know. I'm sure it's awesome.
Well, but in those days, I was checking out. I was at Jonathan Ward's place yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He's got one of those super birds. Remember we did a super bird for the show, and I was telling him what a hunk of junk it was, and how it could not be redeemed by any engineering known to man.
Mike, have you driven Mike Musto's? Or
Is
do you
it
know
a-
about it?
Well, I mean, is it a Hotchkiss special? Because okay.
It's not Hotchkiss. It's a Ride Tech special. It's a pro touring deal.
All right.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the
it is
sin,
possible to redeem it.
on
but-
that very same day that I drove that shitbird, I drove also the finest racing track car. Still to this day, the most thrilling was that Hotchkiss built Camaro.
Oh yeah.
My God, what
Yeah.
a great car! You could
Just a
what
full
a
suspension.
Which one was that?
It was just a full suspension, but
Camaro
not.
RS68 was the full kit. It was the full Mac, man.
It was the full
Tub
kit,
tube.
but it wasn't that crazy. Like
It wasn't, but that was the beginning of pro touring.
Yeah.
Like that was right when it was getting really popular.
right when it got
It
good.
was. It was right, and they were like I rode in
my God, that was
Jimmy
great.
Day's AMX, which is not a car I think is attractive, and I rode with him on GMR, I think, and I was like, this thing turns, stops like a 911.
Yeah, I didn't think
and he can drive the shit out of it, and all of those, and those are great because now they've gotten a lot cheaper. A lot of those pro touring builds were like 150, 200 G's for a while. And now
That
they're on
brings
the
up
used
that's a
market.
They
whole
are
other
if you
thing.
build them. If you build them,
But we're
That-
not.
yeah.
But no one.
But that build was pretty mild. It was an LS1. It was a T56.
Oh, you could do that for
It wasn't
60
crazy.
Gs, yeah.
It was very well. Like the fine tuning was there, so it if you can make one of them things drive like predictably, that's great.
The Hotchkiss stuff
Even if it's not,
does
yeah.
a ton. It helps
You should
so
see.
much.
I drove that dude Josh Kalis's '69 Camaro. It was 1,400 horsepower, and I was doing just 180 pulls over and 0 to 180, 0 to 180, 0 to 180, 0 to 180. It was fucking phenomenal.
Well, there's just a body left at that point. Right?
No, it was a real Camaro. It had a cage in it,
had
but
a-
it was
yeah.
a real. It was. He
Had,
drove on the street.
Camaro
it was played-
frame rails.
Yeah. It's a very real Camaro.
I think at the time he had original glass and stuff too. I'll find the Speed Hunters thing.
It was a beast.
No, it was.
It was like a. I don't know if it was a Nelson engine, but it was something on that level where.
Well,
it was just super crazy.
fucking hey, that's a really fast for that.
Yeah.
I would not
No,
welcome
I
that.
think that thing runs like 170 and a half. It's crazy fast.
As you know, I like them built well. I'm leery of something snapping and.
Well,
No, this was
this
solid.
is legit.
He's done a lot of events in it, and it's not not quite as high as Big Red, but it's very, very serious. And he's been running it for a long, long time.
And you know who does
those?
who does those the best is right in your backyard is Detroit Speed.
Yeah.
They're in Mooresville, and their shit is off the wall. I mean, they put 315s at all four corners. Big built LS7s, like autocross monsters.
Do you want to know what my retirement build is?
Yeah.
A rat rod.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Rat rod, or some with some.
Which kind?
Well, something with taped headers, a big nasty old supercharger on top of a big old nasty V8.
You do live in North Carolina.
And
Dude, they're
every
great.
once in a while,
they are great.
great.
And they are great. And you can. I have been born again hard, as I said. And what was that movie?
After your prison stint.
There's a couple movies in that
You're born
sentence.
again hard. It was Full Metal Jacket. That's right. Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, I'm born again hard. Pyle, you are born again hard. I might let you join my beloved corps.
That was very
That's good.
Thank
That's
you.
a good.
I also do
Arlie
Shakespeare.
Really
how much
good
Shakespeare?
Arlie Army.
How much Shakespeare do you need?
Do Shakespeare in Arlie.
That's right.
Emily's voice.
That's how to say. Senor Antonio, many's a time in the marketplace you have rated me for my money and my usances, even though you have spit on me, called me dog. No, you have kicked me, called me dog, spit on my Jewish gabardine, and now you come to me for help. Anyway, that's
very good. That's exactly 4 more sentences of Shakespeare than I know.
Yeah.
And in Arlie Army's voice. Nice work, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Wait, so your dream build's a rat? What happened to your Fossil Vega? I thought your Fossil Vega was your retirement plan.
No, hell no. I mean, first of all the cars that I thought were remotely grabbable, for example, I actually thought perhaps I would get a Maserati. What is it called?
Bora, Merrick.
No, it's the good one.
Mexico. Comes in.
No, the Maserati.
Bi-turbo.
Yeah.
The
It'll
best
come
one?
to me. Yeah, the
MC12.
No, it was the one that had the top. It was a coupe, and then they had a
Cambio Corsa?
No, oh shit, we're gonna hate ourselves when we think of this car.
How far back?
This is like 70s, early 70s.
1500?
No.
Mistral?
God, they're all. You're naming them all. I know you.
Birdcage. I've now covered every Maserati I know.
It'll come to me. Anyway,
1970,
so
okay.
I wanted to get one of those. They were 70,000. The next time I looked, they were 170,000. I wanted to get a Lancia Stratas. I thought perhaps I could get a Lancia Strata for under 6 figures. They are now $600,000.
Yeah.
And
I drove one once.
Well, don't never meet your heroes. What? How was it?
I was a little disappointed, but I think it was the circumstance and not the car itself. The car was it was a works car. It was one of the real works cars, and it was as raced in the '76 Rally Monte Carlo. So it was geared. It was geared to 65 miles an hour.
That's fun.
And then
that's fun.
Yeah,
though.
and then I drove it in Florida. So I drove it on straight roads at 65 miles an hour. So I just enough to say I did it, but it was the
Tumble home is insane. It's I was talking to Spencer, our friend Spencer, who if you look at Spencer, his shoulders are almost exactly the width of the windows between. He would be sitting and he would have his shoulders.
It's an incredibly bizarre experience. The windshield is like inches from your face. It's wild.
Ghibli.
Oh, Mike Ghibli, of course.
And
yes.
speaking of really unfortunate Italian cars, David's Countach. This is David
Houston.
Houston, right?
Yes,
his Countach. You bought it.
Yes,
and you love it.
Yes.
And tell me more about that. Has this been a revelation for you?
Yes. Can I tell you after the show, because I feel like they're sick of hearing about it on the show?
Yeah, no, I'm just coming in late. For those tuning in, I'm just coming in late.
The short story is, it had a major service that he paid for.
Right.
And then I immediately started driving it, and that is the best thing that could have happened to it, because it runs beautifully. I drive it once a week. Everyone who sees it loves it. It's my favorite thing that I own, and it is actually quite delightful to drive. Every time I take it out of the garage, I enjoy myself.
Well, let me ask you a question then. Mm-hmm. Now, I could not have given a fuck. Can I say fuck?
Yes.
You've been here before.
I didn't know if, since you're recording a higher class of audience, if there was some, but perhaps not. Anyway, I could not give it much of a fuck.
No, the Stratos.
Yeah.
Hang on to that, because someone offered to let me drive that exact car. That's the photo from Bring a Trailer. My friend Brian Creedon has that car here in Los Angeles.
Oh, that's Cartring's car.
Yep, and said I can drive it. So I'm going to try the street one. Apparently it's better. But wait, why? What about the Countach? What's wrong with it?
No, I was nothing about the Countach. We were skipping on, but the thing about Lamborghini is I did not care a bit about what Lamborghini did until they started racing. Now that is irrational, right? The commercial side and the racing and marketing side. There was, but as a brand and as a car, I did not start to care about Lamborghini at all. In fact, I thought it was kind of a foppish, ridiculous kind of brand.
Yeah.
Until they started racing and winning, right? And so tease that out for me. Why did they have to go racing before anybody takes them seriously?
I wouldn't say anybody. I think that's just you.
Well, no way.
Well, why did you watch that fucking 1987 Morley Safer 60 Minutes joint of just Valentino scaring the piss out of him and fucking tailgating people and them going, they're only making $300 a year and there's a 2-year wait to get one.
Yeah.
That was the fucking jam. They didn't race them shits.
They
were just driving like dicks in the countryside. That was the whole thing. Like,
but that was
you too can drive like a dick.
That was ages ago. Ages ago. Well, that only goes to my point that the brand was a brand for nimrods and idiots and rich douches. I'm not saying it's not now.
Hold on.
I'm not saying it's not now. I know where you're going with that.
I bet you don't. But go ahead and try to parry.
But I'm just going to say I'm going to agree in advance that yes, it is a brand for douchebags. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I fell for the cars when I was a kid, as you do, so you don't care about the racing history because you're not that analytical. But you just said your dream car now is to build a rat rod, not raced, barely drivable, unsafe, tetanus, everything. What's it for?
Bad emissions.
It's an extroverted car that is like, oh, you have a hot rod with flames on it? Let me show you something, a thing or two about singing outside.
Do you know what? I may never put gas in it. I may build it and never run it.
That would be a shame.
Well, no, because it's the joy of building, right? That's what I'm talking about. I don't need a rat rod. I need a cool. I'd love to put one together.
You just want
and you can order that shit out of a
Saturdays.
catalog.
You can buy for $5,000 on Craigslist because nobody wants them because they're full of rust, which is fine.
Well, no, you mean like unrestored T buckets, or like rat rods?
You could buy someone's used rat rod.
Like I rode in this car, we filmed it. This had mechanical fuel injection.
Pull that up.
It was like it was full throttle or no throttle.
That's a fantastic car.
And the guy drifted it in the dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
It was great.
It's like a go-kart, right?
That's
rusty
a fantastic car for
Great
somebody
and
else to own. You don't want to own that shit.
No, I might want to build one though.
I think maybe you were at an age where you were more analytical of brands, and you're like, okay, if they don't race it, I don't respect it. And we were kids, and we're like, well, now we like it.
Do you know you don't look anything like yourself in real life?
I do know
on
that.
The field. What the hell? Who is that person? It's like your twin brother. Oh my God, that's spooky. Is that supposed to be Zach?
It is in fact Zach. You're looking at now, sir.
Yeah.
Everything that's happening now is happening now.
Wow, that's
you look like rundown Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. Hey, children.
Like
Mr. Rogers is gonna get a nap now.
Mr. Rogers, the day he enters rehab.
That's right. Sick of it.
Sick of it. He took the job from me. I had a cardigan too.
That's right. That's it. This is neighborhood. This is bullshit. Neighborhood's
You ever
gonna
see
help.
the Prestige? You're the root.
Yeah.
You're
That was a good
the
one.
root.
Ooh, all right. So Ramats, what do you think of them?
Oh, Rimac. You mean Rimac, the Croatian people?
I do.
Only
but-
cretins
but
pronounce it Rimac.
Our guys went and shot there. They were like, it's Ramats, but we can.
Rimac.
We can
Okay,
land in the
that's
middle.
great. That's cool. I'm glad to be corrected. Rimac.
Point Zach.
It's pronounced Rimatz.
Ramats.
Yeah. That
know.
C with the little thing over it is
thank you.
pronounced
That's
TZ
good to know. Okay,
in
Ramat.
Croatian.
Yeah, well, I've talked to those people, Marta and them cats, a couple of times, and I think they've changed the game completely because at the Geneva Auto Show, there were about 5 cars there that were hot shit electrics, and they all had the righteous 125 kilowatt battery pack from
They had their system.
Ramats, including that Pininfarina.
That looks pretty cool.
Oh, she might.
Very good car.
Well, it's a beautiful car and with stupid numbers. I mean, just amazing 2,000 horsepower, 500 at each wheel if you're counting.
They're all.
Can
crazy.
you believe that? I mean,
Yeah.
even if that thing is $1 million, that like they just let people have that.
$1 million.
I don't know.
Now, how long? How
I don't
much
know.
do
What
you
are
think
the
they'll have that?
Ramats selling for? What is it?
Oh, you mean?
shit,
Well,
2.5.
you see, obviously,
What is it?
Probably 2.5. I don't know.
But
I
you'll
see
see
it.
Millions, right?
But,
Yeah,
but hang on. Have you been following his web series where he's been? Oh, well, let
No.
me. Okay, so he
I
has
didn't know he
gone
had
through.
one.
Yes, he is the purpose of this web series, and it's about an hour and a half documentary video that's up now. He's documenting the company as it is now before it moves into its new and gigantic facility. He wants to document in a historical way the situation with this company. He's at 4 episodes, and they're long as
Really?
hell. And he goes into
Zach, did you
incredible
subscribe us?
detail.
I did.
Incredible detail. So, but the short version
I'll
of
watch
it,
that shit. That sounds dope. Sounds interesting.
it's he's 5 years ahead of everybody. The only person
There were also some good videos on Drive about this company. I just wanted because we shot it.
Well, really?
Yeah.
Well, by all means, let's get in a plug
Continue.
for that.
I'm getting a tangent.
Right? No, it's
Oh.
fine. And,
Sorry, let's plug your paywall.
You went
again.
on a tangent about tangent.
Oh, that sucks. I hate.
Yeah,
I hate myself.
now, is it still Tangent Vector?
It is.
Okay, it's a great name, by the way.
Didn't name it.
I always want to name a company. Oh, I'll tell you later because it's a good name, and you maybe could use it someday.
Saying it out
I don't-
loud on the show is tantamount to a trademark.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's on the record.
Well, I was. I
It's
was
like mailing something to yourself.
We're lawyers.
I pitched a show for a long time under the title Motion Capture, which from and was about cars, movement, transportation, motion capture.
No, I get it.
Good. And so if it ever comes in handy, you're welcome to.
That is very good. So Ramats does not race, but you like the cars.
And they don't really want to build cars either. That's the important thing. They want to be a tech company. They mostly want to make most of their money licensing. They'll make these demonstrators in single digits for the ultra rich. Yes, because the numbers are there for that. And but really, that's not where their jam is heading. And they have the IP to sell to really, really change sports cars. The important thing here is that they are making an emotional argument for electric cars. Making it possible to make an emotional argument that nobody else has been able to do.
I mean, Tesla does a bit. I don't want to give Tesla no credit for that.
Well,
but I think they get some.
but look, and Tesla. If you hot rodded a Tesla, I'm talking about motorsports. I'm talking about fast cars. I'm talking about desirable like 2-seaters, right?
There are 0 electric cars I want to see racing.
Well, you're
That
mistaken.
I-Pace the series you're talking about, I watched one of them races once, like a fucking 2 a.m. when I was at some country.
Yeah.
What a fucking shitbox race that was. I love the I-Pace. My week with it was amazing.
I know.
That is a terrible race car.
That's not. But look,
Yeah,
that's not.
I
And
agree.
having all of them a
Oh my God.
spec.
Oh my God! It's just a preliminary series to the Formula E. I
Which
drove
is also boring as fuck.
No, it's not. I drove a Formula E car at Mexico City, and it was. Have I been here since I did that?
I don't think so.
Do you want to hear about it?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So this was last year. We did a video about that. It's also up there if you want to catch that. We had the whole big thing with the drone and all that good stuff. And and I know. So with my savvy media talk.
Yeah, exactly. Capture the motion. All right.
So anyway, so I went and I drove this thing at Mexico City, and I mean, this was the previous car, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shit car.
Which is the one that did half a race?
Well, right, exactly.
The hot swap.
But the next, but see, this in 3 years, it's gone from this relatively undeveloped. Now, it's a fairly good Formula Ford car. It's about where it's at.
Yeah.
Except that the brakes only work when they want to, and then they don't.
Oh, good.
What?
Okay, all right, so here's the deal.
It's my favorite thing about race
So,
cars.
have you ever noticed in a Formula E? And by the way, my preamble is that it's really good racing. They're really fucking fast. The kids who are doing it are all like razor sharp, and the cars and the racing is getting better and better and better. And it's also anti-elitist because Formula One's for rich Arabs, and that's it, because the younger people can't get to Formula One races. Formula E brings motorsports and racing and mobility and sustainability to a younger urban audience. It's a great idea, but the cars early on were pretty underdeveloped. Their batteries were slow, and so you start the race with a full battery, which means you can't have any regenerative braking. There's nowhere for the energy to go, which means, and all the regenerative braking is on the back axle. So now all your braking is on the front axle. So if you ever notice these races, the guys are always fiddling with the brake balance as they go in and out of corners, because the brake balance changes like crazy every stinking lap.
Don't hit the table.
Don't hit the lap.
Hears it.
Oh, of course. Sorry. Anyway, we will take the Sudeten line and leave it round. Anyway, so
the brake bias shifts rearward as the race goes
right,
on.
but what's really strange about it is, and everybody discovered this at the same time in the same place in the track, is the first lap, no matter where you brake, there's no brakes. So so I was chatting along, did my out lap, and I came the first straight at the Rodriguez, I think it is, Autodromo. And I'm like, they say, okay, I knew I'd been warned about the brakes, so I was like really on the brakes already. Rolled out, hit the brakes, nothing. Finally brakes.
Is it because they were ice cold, or
no? Because they're little. Because the front brakes are little, because the balance of the car is set up for regen braking on the back. So as a static model, the brakes are too small. Front brakes are too small. But because most of the time you have rear regen to balance the car, you can downsize, and it's advisable to, best practice is to downsize the brakes. So, but
the regen wasn't activated or something like that?
Right. Twice in the race, you have this problem. Where in the beginning of the race, because you can't have any regen, and at the end of the race, because you don't want to put energy back in the battery, because they take the car and they measure how much energy is left in the battery, and it helps them calculate the index of efficiency, or which is a whole other thing in Formula E racing. But
do you get an efficiency award as well?
Well, I mean, it counts. It counts towards points, but all of this is well. Look, now,
can you I
got it.
Can you be a good person and hear someone say that and go, "That's gay"?
No, you can't say that. You cannot say that. But I can understand if you do.
Because I'm on board with like bringing the racing to the cities. It's more accessible, and it's probably where things are headed, etc. But if you're getting points for like being frugal, with the fuel source,
look, this is what Luca said. Luca Montezalamo, before he quit Ferrari, he said nobody pays to see people save gas.
Yeah,
he's 1,000%.
They don't measure that in F1. They don't measure anything.
He is 1,000%
It's an important strategy, but
it has its place, but maybe not in Formula One. You don't want to see people win Formula One in the pits, that's for sure. It needs to be settled on the track. But anyway, all of that is passed because the new car is the most beautiful open wheel car in serious world sports competition. It is. It's the most beautiful car out there. And
can we see the new?
Yeah, hit the new one.
I've seen the new car.
The new one. It doesn't have to stop. It's got tons of power. Got tons of
they don't have
energy.
to change cars anymore?
No, none of that.
That's good.
See, now look, this is way prettier than a Formula One car, way prettier than an Indy car.
Is that actually open wheel?
Yeah, it's open. It's a shroudy wheel sort of thing. But look at that.
I mean,
is that not a hot shit car?
I think it does look hot.
Okay, so I'm driving that fucker real soon.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez. Whose dick do you suck to do that?
I'm not saying.
Don't make your hobby your job, Matt.
That's a good advice.
You have to do it so much you hate it, and who would want to get there, huh?
That's good advice. But does that not look like an attractive car?
Yes, it does.
Right. So and it's a Spark chassis, right? It's pretty much
the fuck does that? What does that mean? A Spark chassis?
Well, it's a Spark as a company.
Oh, it is. And have they made other chassis that I should?
Oh yeah. They make. Well, they're in commercial aerospace and racecraft, like monocoques. They're in Britain and they're well known.
Like Delara.
Yeah, exactly.
That is way better looking than the current F1 cars.
Yeah,
I will give you that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
that's what a future race car should look like.
But now if you would check out Formula E 2025 concept drawings, because with the electric packaging you have so many more design opportunities that now you can get really slinky.
Yeah.
And I would say that is that this year's Formula One car?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a disaster design wise.
There's a lot going on. The front end looks like a fucking cow catcher.
Yeah.
This one.
Well, it's a butterfly. It's like some sort of exotic monarch there on the nose, and I mean it's cool in its way. Don't get me wrong. They make nice
the
cars.
E-car is prettier.
Oh yeah, and also the racing is shit hot. Why? Because those cars are set up. They are run about 4 inches. 3 inches high, right? Because they run on urban tracks. Now you've got an open wheel car with aero with 3 inches of clearance and a lot of change in the way the car behaves. So if it starts to pump real hard, all the aero goes away. So now you have to drive it. I mean, you can't just rattle your teeth through because if you do, all your aero goes away, and so it's a real subtle thing to race, and it's not like a side drafting it's just like side drafting in NASCAR. It's a particular kind of technique and style that has to do with this kind of car.
Is this the 2025 concept you were talking about? Because it says vision of Formula One.
No, Formula E.
Oh, that's right. No, I wrote Formula E. Oh, I don't know. It's giving me bad results.
Yeah, okay, well, that's all right.
Oh, it's probably...
There you go. That's something like that. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's an endurance. That's a closed cockpit endurance car.
I mean, it's very cool. It has Antera tri-spokes on it.
Is that a sponsor or something?
No, those are rims from like 1991. The 3-spoke rim that was like curved.
Saw them a lot on like a Zuzu Troopers and stuff.
You saw
like the knockoffs,
everything in the early
knockoffs.
90s. Every Acura, every Nissan, every Infiniti was rocking them shits. Maxima City.
Want to know about the Porsche Taycan?
Yes.
I got
what do
all
you got? Bring that dirt, Dan Neal.
Fine. Okay, so here it is.
Drop bombs.
Last week this time, I was at the Nürburgring with the Porsche Taycan people who were conducting tests, and the only thing I can't tell you is the results of those tests.
Okay.
Which is a weird thing for me. I've never had that, but...
you tell us everything else about the test but the result.
Right, but
were they going for a time?
That is, they were testing. Yes, I can. And this is not an NDA; it's just a gentleman's agreement. I told them that I would not spoil the fun, and I didn't. And
is that what the car looks like?
No. The one we were in was properly liveried with blue and black
this
paint.
Zebra
yeah, that's the one.
But that's a production body, right?
Production body. That's about as close as they're going to get right there.
How much smaller is it than a Panamera?
It's a C. It's a C class car. It has 116. No. Check that.
We're talking Mercedes E-Class? Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, something like that. But it is smaller, appreciably smaller than Panamera. And the reason it's the smaller is that they did not want to compete in a segment that they already were competing in, which was kind of smart.
Yeah.
They have a lot of flexibility with the so-called PPE electric platform. And so this is kind of on the big side of that. And
so Tesla Model S or 3S?
Between.
Somewhere between. Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know, it may be calculated that they hit between so that they could avoid nose-to-nose comparisons. They are very clear in saying that they are not Tesla killers. I think that's a smart thing to say.
I think the magazines will write that anyway, regardless of what the car is.
Well, that would be wrong because it's not. And in 100 ways, it's not the equal of a Tesla in terms of its technology.
Okay, how's it drive?
It's fast, strong. It drives like a big, heavy. I'd say I'm sorry. Dr. Vebak was driving. I was sitting in the passenger seat.
Okay.
The first drive is somebody else. No, Dr. Vebak was driving, but I can tell you that it's fast and strong and solid. And but the real issue is its efficiency, and it I would say it probably drives as strong or stronger than your Model S, but it does not have the range. And it does not have it's just the battery technology and the battery management technology is just not there, not yet.
Wow.
It will be.
Wow.
I mean, everything else around the battery and battery management is fantastic. Tuned in the way Porsche tunes things, and they spend a lot of time, unusual amount of time for the Weissach on sound deadening.
Well, they have to. You learn that when you build an electric car, you have to make the engine, the sound of the engine does mask other things.
They went round and round and round on the A-pillars. They went crazy on the A-pillars. Yes, they
for
did.
Wind noise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was, and they also have cameras, side cameras instead of what's the deal? Now they're going to
mirrors.
It's going to come with mirrors, and then they will be legit to be not replaced, but like next year's models will have the cameras. And so I don't know what the timing is, but something like that.
Some of the really aerodynamic cars get horrible wind buffeting when you drive with the windows down. My Volt, there wasn't a recall, but there was a TSB, and if you went back and complained that they would issue you new mirror caps that deflected the air in a different way, and you lost like 0.2 of a mile per e mile per gallon or whatever, but it completely solved the problem.
Well, I think that Porsche and Weissach, they can tune a road car really well, and I don't think anybody can make the kinematics of a car any better than they can. So the question is the connectedness of the drivetrain.
So if they bought tech from like Ramatz, because obviously Tesla's not going to sell Porsche their stuff.
I don't know that that's I wouldn't make that assumption, but go ahead.
Okay.
Their Tesla's not in the business to keep others down. If they could do volume like that, they would.
Okay. Do you think then that is Porsche not buying other equipment because they want to maintain control? Like, I mean, 'cause like you said, they're building everything else around the car is so good.
Yeah.
But if the battery tech's not there and the motor tech's not there, why is that?
It is. It's because they're 10 years behind VW Group because they started 10 years later, and this is a company that was not persuaded. I remember having a conversation with Winterkorn in 2003 in a backstage at I guess we were at the Frankfurt Auto Show, and he was like swore up and down electric never work, diesel much more efficient, blah blah blah. And he went on for a long time. This is way before the curve, way ahead of the curve, but he was clearly antagonistic toward electrics. Now the company has had a change of heart. About 9 months ago they had a board meeting, a quiet board meeting, and they decided to swing the entire weight of the company in another direction. And this is but they've still got a lot of liabilities, and they've still got a whole company to serve. But now they are committing in a way that with the sincerity that they didn't have before.
Gotcha.
And so that's like the VD. Yes, the VD. I'm going to get
VD.
the VDIR.
What's top of mind?
Yes, that's right. Like the VW IDR and the ID Buzz, the bus, which I'm going to drive next month. And
is that
that thing's cool?
That's the repopped microbus.
the what do they call it? It's the Bundy, Bindi, Bandy.
It's got the
Bundy. What is Combi?
The Buzz?
Oh yeah,
Combi is it?
Combi,
The Combi,
yeah.
right?
Is that
cool.
it's a real working
This
car,
thing
right?
will be popular.
Are they
It will,
actually
of course.
making that thing?
Yeah.
This thing's cool.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to drive the Harley Davidson Live Wire July 11th
Good. Here?
in Portland.
I thought that
is
came
that a
out
press
a while
launch?
ago.
There's
So
this
it's been in
first,
dev for a long time.
Oh yeah, forever.
Let's
And
talk about who the fuck doesn't want to buy an electric Harley.
You?
Anybody who likes Harley Davidson.
you know,
I don't
you-
give a shit.
But
but
you know what? This is the old joke. This is. I think it was it not Joan Didion, but someone said, I can't believe. It was the movie critic. For New York Times, she said, I can't believe Nixon got elected. Nobody I know voted for him. You can't judge by what you think or what you believe.
I'm judging by
Harley
the
Davidson.
life of the V-Rod, which is by far the best piece of equipment Harley Davidson has ever built.
I agree.
And
I
nobody
agree.
fucking wanted it
I
because it
know.
was too good for
I
their
was
customers.
a screaming eagle. That's how hardcore I was. I wanted that screaming eagle. I thought that was
Harley
a shit
people
hot
want
thing.
to buy
No,
1955
Harley
Harleys
people-
with warranties.
Not to put too fine a point on it, Harley people are dead.
Yeah. No, he's right.
And
Their sales,
they're
they've had huge problems
right? And
financially the last
you'll
couple years,
note
like,
that
real
there's
bad.
if you'll note that mortality and Harley sales track very closely, especially white dudes, and so they're doomed if they don't innovate.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. This is the thing you gotta and it. Listen, I rode what you have too, but I'm sure by now. But I rode a Zero and a Mission. I rode two.
I actually haven't either, but if you're fucking out there, I would love to ride either of those bikes.
Let me tell you,
I've heard real good things from
I'll tell you what,
some serious riders. Like,
this is the only bike I ever fell off of is the Mission, and I did it under power. I never would have believed it. I dropped it. I was going into a corner, and I goosed it, and the thing spun on me like before in a blink because it has instant torque, and it just ripped right out from under my hand before I knew I was sliding on my ass through an intersection.
I'm not sure I want that.
it doesn't have traction control?
No
or-
traction control. Why? Because it's ballsy. And really, to be honest, if you're out there, Zero, I would suggest a little traction control logic there. I think it's a good idea because my ass was scraping down the road, and I was like, "Fuck, what happened?"
Well, fast gas bikes have traction control now, so you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. But this thing just ripped out from under me. I was gunning it, but it just spun like a top. I had lean angle. Anyway, you know what it's like.
Once you figured out how to manage it, was it better? And you
Yeah.
realized, okay,
But
don't do that
after I
shit?
got up with my sore ass, I did. I was like, oh, I had raspberry. I came home. My wife was not happy with me.
Yeah, it can be real bad.
Yeah, it was real bad. I was lucky that I didn't get run over by somebody.
What's
But
the range on those bikes?
they're 100 miles, but how much do you want to ride it? 100 miles is on a
Pretty
dirt
cool.
bike is plenty.
I'm real into them. Like,
They're great.
No, it's like,
If I
can
rode a
get-
bike, I would
could
totally
go
rock
up
one.
through the canyons and home in that, right?
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
could.
And,
and I bet the regen, because it's so light, like your range, going up the hill's not as bad.
It's great. Oh, so the whole point of this was that having an electric motorcycle and riding through a country road. Get my check out my story.
Which
It's just what is it?
Is it even? It's even more like flying than having an engine. Probably.
It's quiet. It's so quiet, and you're just
Is it like
whisking.
parasailing? Like when you go parasailing, the craziest thing is how quiet it is. You can't hear the boat. You can't hear the water. It's just air moving.
Well, it is like that, and it's even quieter. There's no boat, or it's just a wind whistling through, and it's so great. What did I call that thing? That was the Zero. That's the just say Zero SR.
Is that when do you get regen the same as you would an electric car?
Yeah, you do.
And do you therefore have to use the brakes like never?
This is the brake bias thing on a bike is a little easier because the front brake is so isolated, and most people would lean on the front brake 90% of the time.
Right, but I assume the regen is on the rear brake. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
it's got to change the braking dynamics a little bit, right?
I don't know. I took the Mission. They're out of business now, I think.
Quick question.
Around Laguna Seca.
Do the electric bikes, it's a dumb question, sorry, have dual brakes, like a pedal brake and a hand brake, or does it just have one?
Yes.
It just has, okay. All right, so it operates normally.
Sort of, yes, it does. It has there is hydraulic blending on the rear pedal. It's just so you know, you'd go to your right pedal for rear braking, and it has a hydraulic and regen braking. So depending on how fast the stroke is and how much pressure is applied, then you know it
sorts it out for you.
Yes, I think so. That's and the front brake, as I say, is just a strictly hydraulic circuit.
So Harley Livewire.
Yeah, this is gonna be great, and it could be it could be a real thing. I think that electric motorcycling is a whole new gestalt that when people try, it's gonna blow their minds. It's really, really great. A motorcycle is fun too, and but they're loud, and and everybody hears you come. Not everyone is overjoyed to hear your fucking potato. Right,
That's true.
Right, I'm on. By the way, my hotel is the Hotel Mondrian on Sunset Boulevard, and the fucking bikers are ripping up and down there, and I feel like snipering them from the 9th floor.
You literally got a hotel on Sunset Boulevard. The city is fucking huge. You got a hotel on Sunset Boulevard.
I know. I just wanted to see what the pikers were doing, and
move, old man. What are you doing?
Oh, I know. Come out of the sticks.
Asshole.
No, well, I wanted to stay on the west side because these cats are up in Chatsworth, and I just wanted to get on. And I considered that close.
I was gonna say the busy part of Sunset is not close to.
No, it's okay.
So do you think this will require, like, the market needs to shift from, people that like Harleys that like loud things, because that is fun. Loud stuff is fun. But is it going to require, like, all right, the new generation that doesn't care about that, they just like motorcycling, good-looking motorcycles, and they like the tech and the speed? Is it going to require just a total shift in what they're into?
Yes, I believe that the whole Harley brand has to be re-engineered from the ground up. Yes.
But every motorcycle, if you have an Aprilia or Ducati, I like Ducatis because of how they sound. They look good too, but other bikes now look just as good.
You will have.
I'm riding the least Ducati right now. It doesn't have a dry clutch. The Scrambler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's made in Thailand. It's like not a Ducati,
sound
but it's still pretty fun.
We had SVs, like those things. They sound rad. Versus
the Ducati
600s.
Scrambler. If you missed the SV, if you missed its existence, this is basically that. It's so close to what an SV was.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's the kind of bike I like, but. I guess is it gonna ask that everyone transitions to, okay, quiet's fine. I'm here to like hear the wind, hear the things around me, have the speed, and have the technology.
Well, the thing about bikes is, right, a lot of people who have one have more than one. So you could definitely conceive having a loud bike and a quiet bike and using both for different times and different purposes. Like,
it's true.
I think I've never ridden an electric motorcycle. I'd love to.
You will.
I'd love to.
Well, why not? Have you not asked these people? Have they not reached out to you?
The fact that you see me on a motorcycle this week is actually pretty unique. This is the first motorcycle I have reviewed since 2011.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting back into it. If you want to introduce me to your motorcycle PR people, like I'm actually, this bike, I like it. I don't love it, but I love being on a fucking bike. I'm having a great time.
I know it is empowering here in the city, isn't it? It really makes you feel like a superhero when you can get somewhere in 20 minutes. It takes other mortals an hour and a half.
I know. And I've been, I have a scooter at home. I have a little Yamaha 125 scooter that I love, and I've just been riding that for years. And in the city, it's amazing how small and light it is, and I can get anywhere in 20 minutes. But also being able to do 80 on the freeway is a good thing.
80.
And going up, I went to the canyons this morning because I was like, I haven't ridden in a motorcycle in the canyons in like 7 years. I really should. I need practice, and I've been riding the thing a lot, but I'm clearly like a city rider. Not.
Did I tell you about my Keanu Reeves thing?
No, but I'd love to hear it. But anyway, let me just finish this one thought. I'm not that good, but I'm getting better. I don't know. I really don't know how I'm going to write this review, but I'm trying. I don't think I'm going to do a video because I don't want to show I don't want to talk and try talking and riding at the same time. I don't think I can do it.
No, yeah, that'd be very hard. You don't need to be good. Just ride, figure it out. Yeah, be safe. Do that first.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves?
Oh, you want to hear that story?
Hot right now.
Right,
You're in LA. You got to drop a fucking celebu bomb on me.
All right, so I went to. You can look this story up to me and Keanu. There's a picture of us standing together over his bike. Did
he put his arm around you, open palm, to avoid a sexual harassment lawsuit?
Yeah, he did. I think he put a handkerchief over his back.
That's how fucking. Did you see how baller Candace?
Isn't this great? Isn't it a crazy picture?
Oh.
So this is it.
Did you actually rub that dirt into your face to look tough in that picture?
Yeah, I did. No, the important thing, my wife said, "Well, who's riding bitch?"
That's a great line. And by the way, that bike is fire.
So here's what I did. I went and I borrowed me and Keanu and about 6 of his tattoo sleeve motherfucking bike expert friends went out for a ride.
And you were all
me
wild
and
hogs.
them. And guess on these 2-liter monster bikes. And where do we go? Mulholland.
2 liters?
2-liter Mulholland, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the course of 2 miles, I narrowly avoid death 3 times. It goes like this, and it's like this. The first time, I hit a rock with my rear tire because I can't move. The bike's so big, and I can't avoid it. Boom! The bike jumps. The rear end tire jumps. I full on the brakes. I get to the edge of I'm in the shrubbery, almost over the edge with my tiptoes in the dirt, full on the brake. And then the dude's right up behind me. He's like, that's the closest I've ever seen anybody go up. Oh my God. And I was like, fuck. So then the next thing that happened is that very same tire blows out about a mile down the road.
No.
Chatting along about 60 miles an hour while I lean into a corner, and it just keeps going. Like that. And
oh my God.
You imagine that bike oscillating like that?
Holy shit.
I'm shitting myself.
I've had that fear many times.
God. My God. And it's a totally new bike, and I'm like, it feels like I'm a tiny person, a child riding a grown up's motorcycle. And so the last time was just I was trying to catch up with these guys, and I was overrun. I couldn't corner fast enough. I came maybe an inch off from going completely off at about 90 miles an hour on down the road to the sea, the one not Mulholland, but down
Canaan.
Yeah, right. So before the bridge. Or not the bridge, it is kind of a bridge.
Yeah.
Or
that causeway thing?
Yeah, that little thing.
Yeah.
So I was chatting, and they were ahead of me, and I was trying to catch them, and I was just about dead. I was like, I better slow down. And they took no pity on me. And by the way, if something happened to me, I could have sued the Keanu Reeves people for all their money in China. But they were really cool about it. It's like, good ride, man.
They're like, hardcore biker people. I can't ride a motorcycle around anybody because you get up in the canyons, it turns into fucking MotoGP.
Yeah, it does. Those guys are crazy.
I ride by myself. I don't tell nobody.
I followed some guys. This was, of course, years ago. The only time I rode with people that weren't like my direct friends, and the guys worked at like a Triumph dealership, and we met, and it was like, oh hi, it's Jim and Ben, and I'm like, all right, cool. And they just turned, and then all of a sudden it was like, that's a lot of full throttle, all the gears, and I tripped up, and it was terrifying.
Oh man!
And one guy was on like a speed triple, which didn't look like a race replica, but he was way ahead of the people that were on race replicas because he was good. It was a scary day.
Yeah. It's
what do those arches go for? Like 80 grand?
Oh no, they're more than that.
Are they?
Woo! Oh hell yeah, they're more than that. And now the guy who builds them, I think he has one of the coolest California names ever. You be the judge. I mean, a lot of them. Uh-huh. His name is Gard Hollinger.
Yeah. That's definitely California.
That's pretty hot, right?
Yeah.
It's like Viking.
Yeah.
Very Viking.
Yeah. Gard Hollinger.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's very
That's true.
Yes.
I guess that's true. I'm so naive. God, I'm such a country mouse in this town.
Also, probably a gay porn film.
Yeah, country mouse. Oh yeah, I love that one.
I see Keanu riding around Venice on his arch. Mm-hmm. He has a really fucking cool helmet. I haven't stopped him, but I've seen him.
They're really cool looking bikes. I mean,
they're great bikes.
They're definitely metal art, and that's cool.
And they ride really well.
They ride good, except for the times you almost died.
I think they require a little practice, frankly.
How much power does a 2-liter motorcycle engine make?
It's 150 horsepower.
Oh,
that doesn't seem
not
like
crazy.
that doesn't seem like that.
Is it
Is the torque really high, or is it just...
Yeah, it's got tons of torque. It's like,
Because I guess for a V-twin,
well, what was it say?
Lot.
No, it's a fuckload for a V-twin 2-liter. Yeah, but I'm saying maybe 175. What does it say? 175?
It'll take me a second to find it, but it's a 2-liter. It's a 2-liter twin.
I think so.
It's got to sound awesome.
Like, what is a Ducati
sounds
like 1198? That's a twin,
That's gonna
right?
be like 190 horsepower.
Right. Now I rode the hottest Ducati of all time, which was a
917.
It was a 999 S, 200 horsepower. 200 horsepower and a liter bike. And not a liter, whatever, the 1200, I guess it was 1.2, and it was so scary. In fact, I remember it gave me whiplash because my glove was stuck to the accelerator. I had been gripping it so hard, and scared to death. And I let go, and I moved my hand, and it jerked the throttle, and
I remember when these came out. I actually think these are very unattractive in the Ducati lineage. No offense to you, that's how I feel. But they're 200 horsepower on a bike is 200 horsepower.
He didn't design it.
Yeah,
True.
200 horsepower. It was
because like Corey Burns, he has an Aprilia and his has 200 horsepower, and then he put like a pipe and a chip in it when he got it out of his mind.
Nothing is ever enough.
Right.
Except for some reason, for me, I don't like a motorcycle at all above like 80 miles an hour. I just don't.
It's bad for your hearing too. It's really loud.
I just get fucking scared.
Yeah,
I'm just a bitch.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, I think that people like Corey grew up riding from like age 6. I think if you're one of those people, you're used to it. But if you try to, like, I'm going to try this hobby out, like that might be a hard jump.
I really love getting around the city on motorcycle. Like, I had a great day in the canyons. Just like I guess I'm just one of those people that likes to cruise.
I think I could be into an electric super motard.
I don't know.
In the future, like to get around the city, that would be a lot of fun. Like torque, some ground clearance and like suspension and stuff. But I don't need to go like 180. I
just definitely still like ride scared, which probably keeps me alive.
It does.
Oh, this is.
If I rode a bike like I drive cars in the canyons, I'd probably die.
Well, this is going to be really boring for your full-throated, testosterone-fueled audience. So maybe you should move on to something a little more ballsy. Is that anything you can do?
More ballsy. Zach, do we have a lot of questions? How much time do we need to devote to that? We get questions from people now. We got a few.
We do. We have this many.
All right.
Tell people jump in super chat, ask your questions.
Leave them, and then we're going to close it so we can get to them before we go. What else have you driven, Dan? That's fucking crazy recently in your high net worth
car of the year is a Mazda 3.
How does that happen?
I just think it's a great car of great value. It's really cool to look at. They spend millions to make it look fantastic. They've done everything right. They added value. They spent millions on the design of it, and this manufacturing right here, this metal, this stamping here. Mm-hmm. This took a lot to pull off. There's no seam. Notice there's no seam in the fuselage at all. Seams are there to make a material stiffer and also make the stamping less critical. When you have to do this like kind of fluid matching of forms, it is a bear. So they figured out how to do that. They built a super cool. They bought their own ultra high strength steel mill to make the body rings for the new Sky Active things. They've got and the inside of it is. Check out the interior.
Very nice.
They overspent.
Is Jacob still over there? I gotta call Jacob. I guess
they overspent on the interior like crazy, and this is all $30,000 with everything. It's like a luxury car for $30,000.
They do it. When I had the last top of the line CX-5, it was fucking sweet.
Well, their sales are down 16% over a year ago in May, and so they're doing the right thing. They've lowered their prices and they've added content, and goddamn, that is a lot of car for the money.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about them. I think
it runs great, right? Yeah. Like kind of sort of drives like a Miata. Mazda has this thing, Gitan e-Buy. Right, Gitan e-Buy is the relationship of a horse and rider, the close coupling of horse and rider, and the ideal for their cars and drivers is this Gitan e-Ban. Gita e-Ban, that's it. And so there's a little Japanese for you.
All right. Just
That's
real.
cool.
Make sure you
Now
bring it.
you
Make
need
sure,
to get back to the barracks, boys, before I have to. Anyway.
make sure you bring it right back to America when you're done with that.
That's right.
What's the cost? I mean, because like you said, they need to make new stamping. They need to make new tooling for all this stuff. How often do car companies, if you know the answer to this question, how often do they do that? Or how often, if there's a new design that comes out, in air quotes, like, is most of the time they can just pivot the tooling they have a little bit and just add like a new, wedge or something to it?
Tooling is expensive, and the rule is the slower car goes, the slower the car evolves, the more money it makes.
Right.
So they'll put off putting retooling for panels. Panels are super expensive.
Yeah, bumpers. That's why those change more
That's
often,
why they
right?
start with the plastic and then they just make them painted.
Well, when you think about I propose a grand bargain between crash and emissions and the manufacturers and the public in the next 5 years, and I believe we could do a lot if we could suspend the compliance costs for manufacturers. And one of the things they could do is make cars much safer and more aerodynamic and less costly if we could throw out the current rule book on safety. Not throw it out, but rather refine it, because right now we're making less safe cars more expensively.
Why are they less safe?
Well, because many of the regulations are obsolete. For example, and why?
What do you mean? Like what? Like what?
Well, like on let's say side mirrors, for example, as like side.
Like the fact that they have
illumination,
to be there?
right? Like remember, you can't.
Oh,
we
they made
don't
them all
have.
weak.
I'm sorry.
They made them very soft, right? Like the side mirrors break easier now.
No, I was actually thinking about the legality of replacing them with cameras, which would save cars about 10% in fuel just off the top, right? If you could get rid of those, it's a huge aerodynamic drag. It's also a huge noise source. So just right there. If you insisted on all pickup trucks being sold with tonneaus, that's 10% improvement in fuel economy.
Whoa.
That would be a good intermediate measure. But what I'm saying is that the rules are now fighting each other to such an extent that, and manufacturers are spending millions on to comply with rules that are going to be obsolete in just a matter of a few years, because we all see the arc of this technology and where it's going to go.
So if you just allowed it now.
Well, I suspend compliance costs, but make sure that at the end of 5 years, the companies are tooled up and ready for the future, because the future, the social good, requires a change of the way cars are run. My God, Los Angeles County is fucking crazy with cars, and the air is terrible. I can't believe that. This is, I think, the sense of emergency that people in California feel and other people don't feel. I think they just need to look. They come here and see why Californians are so alarmed about car emissions. It's really it's more pronounced. It's almost like in the 60s again.
Well, I don't think it's that bad, but I do think it's. I think we're alarmed with the volume of cars. Like, traffic is significantly worse than when I moved here. 10
Cars are
years
much
ago.
cleaner, but there are millions more cars. It's the density of traffic, and this is true in European cities, and that is why European cities are moving way ahead of the European Union, because they're going to ban cities like Stuttgart, Berlin, Hamburg, what's the other? Munich, Dusseldorf. They are all considering or have already passed restrictions on internal combustion engines. Why? Because the cities can't get, they can't get free of this air pollution.
Yeah. Amsterdam, I was last year, has banned not all internal combustion, but like certainly during certain hours, and then they ban all commercial traffic after certain hours. And like I stayed on a houseboat, which so you're like on the street basically, and it didn't have air conditioning, so the windows were open, and it was so quiet. And it was fucking awesome. I was like,
does sound nice.
you know what? This is a pretty good idea. Like, maybe I'd fuck with this. Like,
Well, right.
pretty chill.
That was
Like,
the first thing Alex did a thing for Drive last year, and he's like, the first thing you notice in this city, it's not this, it's the quiet.
Yeah.
Just because there's like so few internal combustion cars.
It's true, and it will happen sooner, I think, than many people expect.
Speaking of car volume, so Andrew Collins found this video today. Some guy filmed his commute home in 1988 in Los Angeles. videos. He just like the guy just stuck a video camera in the car. He doesn't talk. He just like listens to the radio.
No one gives a shit for 30 years, and then it becomes news.
But but the big thing was like it's 6:21 p.m. This is like peak traffic hours, and he was just going the speed limit on the 405.
Wow.
So. Like you said, like cars have gotten cleaner, and I know that we complain about traffic a lot, but it's just human density is going to continue to grow and grow and grow.
Right, it's a density thing, and do you know that in Munich of all places, home of BMW, there are days where they will ban Euro 6 compliant diesels from the center of town. Euro 6, those are 3 years ago. They were build those cars, and they are banned from Munich, which was built on diesel.
Wow.
Now this is a sea change. Now the thing is that these municipalities, cities are way ahead of the EU, and the EU has to deal with the German government, and especially the German and the German unions. So it's a much thornier problem than just saying everybody wants to get rid of gas-powered
it's hard,
cars.
Because there are people that can't afford to buy a new car. Like Elon's ridiculous tweets lately. It's just like everyone should buy one of these things. It's like your cars cost $50,000 to $100,000, dickhead. Like, I mean, he's very smart, and I'm glad he's doing what he's doing, but that's very much like an elitist attitude, and some of his supporters have said the same thing.
It's bad arithmetic, though, because the total cost of ownership of those cars is lower than the same comparable IC powered car.
Comparable, true, but if you're someone who's driving a used Honda Civic that costs $7,000,
they're going to get cheaper.
I know, and when they do, like, the adoption will get faster.
I'm waiting out. You know, I'm holding off. I'm selling my minivan. I've been spray painting that thing with cans of rattle cans in my driveway, so I don't, to keep it going.
What?
Holding off until what?
Until I can buy an electric car. But I'm like you. I can't afford, a Tesla Model S. I just don't.
Why don't you get an e-Golf?
Can you get another electric car?
I could. I tell you what.
Like
cardigan.
A
used BMW i3 would be the tits.
Yeah,
right.
They're cool, but the range is so small.
I don't need a lot of range for my city car, and there are several other fine choices out there.
Used i3s are cheap.
They're crazy cheap.
Yeah,
and
cheap.
Do you know Sandy Munro, the guy who did the Tesla breakdown and everybody flipped out? He did. Do you know Sandy Munro?
No.
All right. They Munro Associates does a total breakdown service for automakers. They say, okay, they take a car and they take it down to the last nut, bolt, and screw.
Oh yeah.
Right.
They document every piece.
Everything. And it's and then they sell. Oh, I can't sell you a book with about 700 pages with everything could possibly be known about the car. So he tore down a BMW i3, which was made in Leipzig in the new factory, right? Mm-hmm. Is it Leipzig or Dresden. So I'm sorry, am I losing the track?
No, I was just gonna have Zach look it up while you told the story.
Dresden. It was built in Dresden. So at the new factory designed by Zaha Hadid, they found no flaws. It was the most perfect car they had ever taken apart. Sandy said this thing was built like a spaceship. It was dimensionally perfect.
Interesting.
And everything about it was absolutely built like a spaceship. Except, as Dr. Froelich, who built the thing, or who's the chief, the technology chief, said to me, the battery was shed. And he said, admit, Doctor, have you ever met, who Dr. Froelich is? Okay,
No.
Dr. Froelich, I think is actually, I swear to God, his name is Wolfgang Froelich. Froelich
what a great German name.
Froelich means happy in German, and he is the happiest German scientist you will ever meet.
Really?
He was like, our batteries were shit. Oh, they were terrible. It was fucking horrible.
Replace happiest with only happy.
Dr. Wolfgang Froelich was delighted to tell me that they had shit batteries, and why they had shit batteries, because
Why do they have shit batteries?
This is all a matter of procurement, right? When the music stopped and everybody needed batteries, this is basically what's happened in the past 3 years. When the music stopped and all those people needed batteries, there was a rush to get contracts signed because you just can't make batteries out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And so they were not sure how they were going to pursue their battery strategy. They considered making it themselves. They wanted to. I think they probably will eventually move forward on that front. But the germs were a little left out, and there was a limited battery capacity on. And another dimension is that they couldn't just buy all their batteries from China. They had an obligation to the industry, to the ministry, to buy German batteries. So they had a procurement shortage, and they wound up using less than we're commercial grade lithium ion batteries,
but not like the good ones,
and not many of them. That's so that they're going to burn through that mistake, right? They've got other liabilities.
Do you think you'll be able to extended warranty an i3 and get a replacement battery that's better?
Yeah. Yeah,
I bet there will be an aftermarket that.
No, they already
aren't used i3s 10 Gs.
Sure.
Used i3 extended ranges are 10 to 15 Gs, I think.
Right. They're very nice to ride in,
and they drive
rear-wheel drive.
150 miles on the new ones, or the latest generation that went from a pretty lame 100 to 150.
150 becomes usable.
Do you know that they said when I was working for the LA Times, I drove it for the first time in New York. They delivered it to me with a dead battery in New York City, and I was like, "Fuck!" I was in Central Park, literally on the side of the road with the handsome cabs going by, and I was fuck, and but then it got picked up and charged. I'm sure. I don't know what happened to it. Buried in the ocean.
That's hilarious.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Let's go to the fans for a few minutes. Shut down the super chat. Can you zoom in so I can read the motherfucker? I can't read nothing. Let's see. 89 Ford F-350 wants to know, what is the best racetrack close to Long Island?
It's a great question.
There's one racetrack left on Long Island. I can't remember the name of it, but they made the documentary about it called The Last Race or something.
Oh,
but it closed.
yeah.
The documentary.
Did it close?
It was about it closing.
It was an oval
right?
race.
Yeah, the oval track.
It was threatened to close. I didn't watch
Yeah.
it, so it was well shot. It was very well shot.
Let's see. Best racetracks. You can go to Pocono in Pennsylvania. Then you probably just drive straight across Jersey.
Monticello.
You go to Monticello. You go to New Jersey Motorsports Park, or you go to Lime Rock.
What kind of racing are we doing? Because we drag racing or E-Town.
I got to assume this person means
a road race.
They usually mean road course when they say track. They say drag strip if they
because
mean drag strip,
E-Town's a whole thing unto
Didn't
itself.
they close?
No,
they closed everything but the drag strip. I think.
Yeah, the town is closed.
Oh, you can go to where's Club Loose, New Jersey Motorsports Park. Did you say that?
No, it's I think near English Town, but not.
I think
it's close. That's a good time too.
Also,
cheap time.
Google it.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Hey man, that was
after those net 10, right?
33 RPM says, how much power should the NSX Type R have? Are they coming out with a new NSX Type R? Is that a thing they're doing?
I don't know. I had that car about a month, and I don't know if it was the
the updated one.
Yeah, the updated one. But the R, it has the same issue as all of these super performance hybrids, as the integration of the electrics and engine. In that car, it's really a pretty. It's pretty much central to the experience of driving that car is this sense of the front and rear working together, but sometimes not always.
I found that car to be fast as balls in the canyons.
For sure, it is
really, really fast. I need to spend twice as much money to go faster than that.
The thing is, once it's up on its toes, you're right, but around town, it feels very sort of disconnected.
Yeah. It's like a Prius, at low speeds. I know what you mean. Yeah. Like when this engine starts and stops and that kind of stuff.
And the first and second in this sort of, it's a kind of clunky there.
Yes, I agree. But when you're on it, it's fast as fuck.
We did Mid-Ohio there. We went real fast.
Yeah. Thojo says, thoughts on the Volvo 480 Turbo? There's a lot of Riata in that front. Isn't the Volvo 480 Turbo a Euro market Volvo? someone import one of those fucking things?
There's a couple
I was going to
of
say you've quite a reach there.
A 480 turbo.
You're bringing in the Dutch contingent, obviously.
I'm not sure I would import one of those. They don't
mean to import it.
Isn't that like a cost-cutty Volvo? It's like a hatchback. Wasn't it made in a partnership with somebody else? Spence, do you want to give us an insight on the 480 turbo?
Wasn't it made by Dow?
I was going to say Seat or something.
I think it might be like Seat or something like that. Yeah.
Seat.
I wouldn't spend the money importing one of them fucking things.
I wouldn't. I would not hazard
I never saw one in good kit.
No, he says our friend is from Europe and says no.
It looks like someone took a Honda Accord front and then grafted it to their Honda Civic.
It does have a weird.
It does. It's got a little. It's got the Riata front. Those headlights are really are Buick Riata.
And that was the
headlights,
question. And I
the
think
question was Riata.
Yeah,
I see it.
I agree. I say yes.
The Riata's gonna have
Final
its day.
answer is yes.
You fucking wait. 33 RPM says Vector W8, Lister Storm V12, or Panos Esperante GTR. Which is the nastiest of the three?
Panos.
Define.
Yeah, by far.
Esperante GTR.
Well, they were uncomfortable, but at least they were deadly.
The Lister Storm V12.
Lister Storm. I don't know about the V12, but the Listers are great. Have
you ever driven one?
Yeah,
of
I've
those?
driven a 400. I think they call it. Yeah.
What the fuck? Tell me everything about what it's like to drive a Lister.
Well, it's like
Storm.
driving a
What
Corvette
video
from the
game
60s.
do I remember that from?
You know a car is old, just real quick, when you can't find a photo that's over a certain res because those photos were taken in the 90s. Anyway, continue.
How old is this car? 240p.
Well, I don't know, but the Vector is also something I never drove, but never aspired to either.
There was a Vector at Radwood.
There was the Vector, I think you mean to say.
I looked it over quite thoroughly.
This looks like when they give it to you, they give you a 3-inch cutting wheel, and they're like, as tires get bigger and technology changes, you can increase your own wheel well size.
Well, right? Your wheel arches.
It's like a make your own pizza kind of kit.
Well, now I want you to look at this car. This is an important historic note. You know, this expressed a certain frustration with the aftermarket community because a lot of people were trying to do it themselves, and it turned out that it's harder than it looks.
Yeah, it's true.
And also this was really before the innovation of CAD mapping.
Yeah.
So when that comes in, you see the subtleness of lines sort of emerge in the 90s, and these better radiuses. But that looks, that's about as fast as they can make it.
It's pretty bad. The proportions are
funny.
wonky. As
Well,
shit.
right. Who knows where that's their hard parts are.
So
bad
fucking
too.
weird looking,
Right.
man. That's not a good looking car. The nastiest, I don't know. I think not this. An Esperante GTR that's a race car. That's a real.
Well, no. See, that's the GTR was the one they built 25 to go racing at Le Mans because I was on the Panos team at Le Mans.
That's wow.
Yeah. They had 25 road cars.
It's
take
better
that.
looking than the others, but it's definitely
That is as penis-like as a vehicle gets.
it's pretty
Oh
foul.
man.
You know who loved the Panos team? The French thought they were the bomb. I was going to say
Because it looks like that looks like a Delahaye from this year. If that's what
it was. A terribly. I wrote a story for Car and Driver. I worked this race, and at the end of it, the first of it, they wrecked their car. They burned it to the ground. And then they put it back together and they went racing. Now, see, this is a proper.
This is the car that sells cocaine to vipers.
Yeah. I agree. Absolutely.
very good.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Jeez.
Wow.
It's, for people
Does it share
listening,
wheels with a Zonda? Those
they
are Zonda
are
R
absolutely
wheels.
Zonda wheels.
Yep.
For people listening, it's that metallic purple, the kind of ship-shaped color. But what's the front like? It's like LMP1 headlights.
Oh
Yeah.
my! It's
And the
very
Batmobile nose?
anthropomorphic. It's got it's like out of the movie Cars. It's somewhere between Batmobile, a trimaran.
Well, you'll remember that this is sort of this coincident with the Schumacher Batman, and the Schumacher directed Batman had that silly ass Batmobile.
That's the Clooney Batman, right?
I think that is the nipple Batman. Yes, and so I think that in terms of the genre styling, they have there's a lot of overlap there.
Oh, things that cars that look like cocks were really peaking.
Well,
the Batmobile was never, very subtle. Like even when it, the early ones that were cool. But this is just
demonstrate for the people, Zach. Don't keep those beautiful Batmobiles to yourself.
I'm trying to find a.
All right, and after that, I'll tell you about a rocket that looks like a penis.
There's all of them.
This one in particular is awkwardly sort of embarrassing. It's like
that
it's the elephant in the room.
Not a good Batmobile.
Yeah, right. That was
so cock-like.
No, there's just
I swear,
a lot going on.
Yeah, I swear, if that's your idea of a cock, then I'm not sure I can't go with you.
No, you know what that is? That's like the thing that the guy had to put on in Seven
samurai,
before fucking the hooker to death.
That is samurai armor on your cock.
All right.
Okay,
continuing, moving on.
Rocket ships.
One looks like a cock.
So I did a story a couple months ago about Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin company. I went to their headquarters in Kent, and they showed me around the rocket factory, which was really cool, including a 3D printed rocket engine. But the Shepard New Origin, this is New Shepard.
Holy shit! It really does look like a big dick.
Right. It does. It looks just like a penis. And now I'm telling you, that is awkward right there. That is, and I went to Kent all day long. Nobody mentioned it, right?
Really?
So I know that they're like super conscious of the fact that it looks like a phallus. It looks like a marital aid.
So you asked the question, right?
No, I didn't because because I just couldn't. Because
you could tell that an email had gone out at some point. And went, look, no one mentioned this again.
Exactly.
We know. And with a name like Blue Origin, it looks like it's a tampon.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely something.
This will help us applicate ourselves to the universe.
Yeah.
Now the reason it is like that is because it has the capsule, the glands, I should say, if you're the glands,
the Roman war helmet portion.
That's right. That is exactly the purple. If you'll direct your attention to the purple veined helmet of the spacecraft.
It's Jewish spacecraft too.
Well, exactly circumcised. Why? Because my thing's still working.
Finish your thought, and then
the reason it's like that is because once the capsule comes off, it has these circumferential vents that open up, and they pop open as the thing drops like a stone for about 60 nautical miles.
So would you say
and then lands?
And then lands, but the first thing happens is that
it blows its load, and then it goes
I would not. That's a very
it drops. It goes to sleep for about 60 nautical miles until it finally wakes up in a panic and ejects a parachute.
Well, so
what goes through your head when you have sex? Good guy, you have a panic.
Well, now
it's amazing that these can land. After that's just ridiculous. It doesn't matter if it's them or SpaceX or whatever.
It does matter.
It's fucking incredible.
It is incredible. As I say, SpaceX is sort of probably another 10 years ahead of these guys as well. But this rocket vectoring is such that it really makes it possible. They call it the TPM, thermal protection material on the bottom, so that they've gotten to the point they're going to turn around like an aircraft. The capsule flies off at 62. This thing, shoots up, and it goes about 3.5 G's maximum going up. Goes to 62 nautical miles. Then at some point, the capsule separates. Capsule continues on its ballistic trajectory, and then the rocket, the booster itself, single stage booster, falls back down. And as I say, it falls like an arrow heading toward the Earth, and then at about 2 miles altitude, these veins pop out. I'm sorry, that's probably shouldn't say that.
So it's like an umbrella of rockets.
Yeah, exactly. An umbrella. Well, it's just a passive vein, and then the propulsive phase of the landing happens, where the thing fires up an engine, then
okay.
And
So it's flaps, but they control the tilt,
drag,
and slow it down.
It's like a Zonda.
That's right. And then but I think you. How much? Okay, so let me just ask you a question, because rich people, and
can't wait to see where this is going.
Well, how much what do you think is a fair price for this experience? It's 62
go to
miles,
space?
4 minutes of weightlessness. 6 people in a capsule.
Wait, so you ride in the capsule?
Ride in
or
the capsule?
No,
you ride in the
not
capsule.
In the
no, I
rocket?
mean, unless you're really bad, I guess. Yes, you ride in the capsule.
And then
ride in the back.
And then you land old school style capsule parachute ocean.
That's right. No ocean on the ground. It goes up, and then you have 4 minutes of weightlessness. Then people have to buckle back in. This is the part that's probably the most I think concerning for the insurance agents. But you have to buckle yourself back in. No attendants, right? This is a completely autonomous spacecraft.
Whoa!
And
it's a carnival ride.
Exactly, it is. And then you fall back down, and the fall back down is kind of intense. There's another 3 or 4 G's right there, and then the parachutes open, drones first, and then the big 3, and you come down, and you have a little propulsive landing of the capsule, and you land safely.
So how much do you think it's worth? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, and I've done
retail price.
And I can tell you now that my back of the envelope tells me that they can fly one of these things for about $400,000 a sortie. So six.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like 100 to 150 grand.
Would
a head.
you? But
it seems.
Not that I would pay that.
Right.
But
This is what I'm asking you. This is what I'm asking you. If
what I would pay.
Yeah. What do you think is a?
I don't think I think 50 to 100 because you can go on those zero gravity flights.
Yeah.
They're expensive.
The vomit
comet, which is not cheap, but you get like multiple zero gravity sessions.
Yeah, but this is flying a rocket like Alan Shepard to the edge of space. This is their pitch. This is if you want to feel like Alan Shepard, and it's a ride.
True.
And also, there's one other thing that might be interesting to you in your demented.
Can I bring my therapy dog?
That's a good question. Yapping under the seat.
In a little fucking in a little mini globe.
Oh my God! So the other thing is that if there is an emergency during the boost phase, it has a solid rocket escape motor, and it's in a big drum. It looks about the size of a 55-gallon oil drum. It's built into the center of the cabin, and when that thing goes off, you will be exposed to something like 11 G's.
That's to escape a disaster.
That's right. You go fire. You really are. You are a fire. Bottle rocket.
But where do you end up if they fire that thing?
Well, that's right. Downrange ways. Downrange. Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah. Ideally, that's the idea. Is you want to get away from it. But it's pretty. See, that's the only thing that I
don't know why the term downrange.
I know
is so fucking funny there. Downrange is like Nebraska, like wherever you might land.
It's Morocco, but no, it's if that happens, you will have gotten your money's worth. That is for fucking sure.
Yeah, I paid for 3 G's and got 11 G's.
And now
7 more G's.
Now I just need to spend a month in the hospital.
My Audi's now an innie, but I got
right. My
G's.
bladder is out my asshole.
I think 150 for a couple legit laps. Is it one lap? You get an orbit?
No. See, that's the thing. It's suborbital. It is
4 minutes.
4 minutes and then down. But I mean, it's an experience, and it is space. You do cross what's called the Kármán line, which is the official.
And you get a launch. Like
and
you're
get a launch.
You're not taking off on a plane. You get a fucking launch.
All right, and they don't. This thing is this runs on a BE4 rocket engine, they call it, and it has to throttle up, right, because it can't start at full power. It'll blow your mind. So it starts slow, and then it picks up.
So it's not like Apollo.
Oh,
they
Apollo
just light the fucking fuse. And
they throttle up too. They get going quick, and then you hear it's like full power now, and then it's thousands of miles an hour.
And the throttle ability of these engines, rocket engines, this is the thing that makes the big difference. Why? And as you get into, you'll see that if you can, making rocket engines is really tough, and because it's the pressure in the chamber. You got to get the pressure into the chamber, and the faster you can build pressure, the better you are. And so it's quite a complicated process. And if you can get it to throttle down to about 20%, that's the magic number. So you could up and down, because all of the stuff that people are talking about is going to require.
And what, below that it flames out?
Exactly. Yes, exactly right. And but 20% would be if you could not throttle it down 20%.
Now you can cruise.
You can dock, you can cruise, you can do a lot more things. It makes spacecraft much more manageable.
I bet they'll sell plenty of seats for sure.
Oh yeah,
people will buy the bucket load. The autonomous pilot thing is a little weird for me, but
if it costs $400 to fly, what's it really going to be? $200 to $300 to go per head. These guys are going to want to make fucking money. They're not doing this for charity.
Well, you want to know how that went down? So I was at the meeting with the CEO and all this stuff. He also is
CEO, not Jeff Bezos.
No, okay. Jeff doesn't deign to do management on a day-to-day basis. That's for little people. I'm busy. I'm busy driving
billionaires.
I'm designing a phallus shaped.
I don't talk to unless you have 3 commas. We don't talk to Jeff Bezos.
What was that? Trace Comas? What was the liquor that guy had on Silicon Valley? That was
Trace
great.
Comas.
Trace Comas. But no, Jeff's busy designing rockets that look like penises. And he was not in this meeting. And and that's a whole other thing, because among the things they don't talk about, that the rocket has a certain phallus-like silhouette, and there's a person named Elon Musk. They're not.
They don't. It's not.
We don't spend a lot of time thinking about Mr. Musk.
Of course they don't.
And so, what was I going to tell you about that? The cost. Yeah. They do not know. They can't decide. I said to them that I was concerned that it was kind of anti-democratic to charge so much for a space trip when space really was a common inheritance. And they looked at me as if I had pronounced Sharia law. They had no idea what they were. They were like, what? And but they got up. I must say, they spooled up quickly on the question of the democratization of space. I also said to them, now, do I have your guarantee that you will not militarize the moon? And they were like, and
really?
Yeah, really. And see, it was fun because once I realized what their triggers were, it was so easy to find them. And so, but yeah, they were the militarization of the moon was. Now this is a guy. I'm telling you, this is a guy who's got Stanford PhD, MBA, and Harvard, and he was stammering hard. And I thought to myself, sounds like perhaps they do have some militarization of the moon ideas.
Yeah. But I think like at a retail as a thrill ride, right? At a retail price.
Yeah. I
think this is going to sound really bad, but it's true. There's almost no difference between 150 and 300 grand. The kind of people who will spend it on this, not a car or a home or a boat, a 10-minute experience. There's no difference.
All right, I got another question for you. I have another question for you along these same lines, unless you've got questions lined up.
We probably do, but go ahead.
All right, here's my question to you. So what is
Your questions are probably more interesting.
What is it? What is the state of mind of a person who spends $300,000 for an Icon 4x4, who then either takes it off-road and bashes it up, or doesn't? Which one is more perverse? Which one is more sane, or if either? And, because I asked this question a couple of times, and I think the answer is, it's kind of a poor person's question. People got so much money that, it doesn't matter to them. They're detached.
If you hang out with John Ward for 15 minutes. I hung out with John Ward. I went to his charity thing, Go Campaign.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It was a lovely thing at this fucking super baller spot in Bel Air. We drank all the free wine.
Well, you're a real humanitarian.
I donated a couple watches for the auction, which did sell. I also bought a really nice overnight bag at the auction. But while I'm sitting there talking to John Ward for fucking 5 minutes, someone comes up and he goes, "John, I'm so glad I saw you. The Lagonda's in." And he goes, "When can I drop it off?" And John's like, I don't know, maybe in a couple of months. He's like, "A couple months?" He's like, "It's Lagonda. You want to go?" And John's like, I know. John has people who are ready to give him $1 million to $1.5 million for one-off builds all day long.
Right. Lined up.
Right. But he actually can't do it. It's those builds are too much of a drain. He can only do so many of them. So I was like, John, do the Lagonda. Quit fucking around, buddy. Get that Lagonda in.
Have you? You probably talked about Jonathan Ward plenty on this show.
I don't. John's great. I haven't. We can talk about John.
All right. Well, I think his situation now is he can't decide whether he wants to be a rich man or an artist, and he's torn because, as you say, he's got more money, more business than he knows what to do with, and it's very hard to watch business go out the door.
Yeah.
At the same time, he has many other passions, and he doesn't want his other hobby to become his job. Now that's
his leather making. His leather
well,
making
see,
is
now
very
this
pretty.
is where I'm going, because I think he's kind of been wasting his time with cars because the leather tooling is fantastic, and his sensibility about leather is really good. And I hate to say to you, you should make this your full-time gig, and because it's really his
I'm buying something from him.
Really?
Yes.
See, again, he's gone
Not
to
a car,
professional
not a
status
leather.
already.
Leather.
Right.
Yeah,
But
not
he's
a
gone
car.
into professional leather making, and so he can't decide whether he wants to have micro dealerships in parts of the country to service Icon 4x4, which is, right, exactly, a whole other step up,
it's a
or
big
does
step.
he want to step back?
I drove one of his FJs, one of the 4-door ones.
Yeah.
I drove one around for a day. I completely understand why you'd want one. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because there are very few things that you can buy that are so simple and made so well. They're almost mutually exclusive.
Simple is a word that he used. I was surprised. I asked him, what was the inner motivation for some of these buyers, and the notion of simplicity or clarity, and of course it's an illusion, right? Behind the sheet metal, that dashboard, there's a lot of modern tech and all the instruments that backs of it. So it's a in a way,
but it's presented simply, and it's simple components that are fine-tuned in a really nice way that have a very complete package. I like that FJ. That FJ had the best steering of any truck I've ever driven.
Well, you and I
I have no fucking clue, but it did.
I believe you and I could build the frame up that would equal an Icon if we wanted to spend enough money to do it and have the right suppliers.
Probably, but I'm glad he's doing it. I don't want to do that shit.
Yeah, no, it's the body. Well, I mean, my point is it's really hard to make a superior 4x4 because so many 4x4s are, I mean, once you put the Dana 44s and the 36 bead locks,
it's
and
not about
it's
not about I can go over this boulder and you can't at all.
Right.
I'm talking about just something like you can't have a Toyota FJ that also feels like a high quality luxury good. Like typically if someone tries to make something into high quality, they stuff it full of stuff like TVs or whatever. It's none of that.
I don't know. None of this doesn't apply to any people I know, but
well, okay,
what's that Toyota truck that everybody loves around the world? Toyota Hilux, right? Mm-hmm. What about how'd you like to have a Hilux done up like this, right? So it's simple, small, but with a Toyota Motorsports engine.
I mean, it would probably be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like what he's doing. I think he just should carry on. If he wants my opinion.
Did you see his?
Yeah. Are you allowed to talk about that?
No.
We'll edit it
and
later.
Edit that out. No, looks really tight though. Well, it's in the it was in the showroom and it was uncovered.
It was.
Well, they were trying to get to anyway.
All right. Well,
it looks like a great idea though.
Yeah, sure it is. The regular 96 says, "What is the most batshit insane, scary fast car you can buy for $15,000? No mods allowed." I don't think $15,000 is getting you anything scary.
4C or used 4C.
15 grand. Good luck.
Salvage title F
F
body Camaro with a turbo on it.
There you go.
In Florida.
Oh yeah. Well, right. So it's going to smell like
allowed.
death.
Oh, no mods allowed. I'm sorry.
Oh, for $15,000. I had this crazy experience. I went to drive the Supra, and they also had the TRD. It was FT86 is what they call it.
Yeah.
I loved that car. That was so much fun. We were at Summit Point.
I was there too. Yeah.
That
was before you, I think.
And it was. I love. Well, you don't like that car?
No, I liked. I do like it. The Supra is so much better.
See, that's funny. I didn't.
Supra was great. I like the Supra.
You know, I thought Supra was heavy and kind of, you know.
But it had enough power to drifto everywhere.
Well, there was a lot of drifting there, especially that first corner there. People were getting real well into it. No, that was fun. That was fun. It had drift. It had the Drift-O-Matic. But I'll tell you what, for grassroots motorsports, that FT86 was much more fun. Way more fun.
They're really fun. I drove the TS.
TRD or the TS?
No, it was the TS.
Yeah, but it's 15.
Very similar. It was really, really fun.
And I wonder, could you get one of those for 50? Used for 15?
You can now, yeah. You can get the regular 86 or whatever for 15.
That's my choice. Then. I'm gonna say that.
Bad shit and crazy, scary, fast. I don't think
you can do that.
Well, you can get a C5 Corvette. That's probably the fastest thing you can get.
You could probably get a C5 Corvette, or maybe scary, maybe a C4 Corvette.
Much scarier.
Oh man, I had a weird thing in Germany. I was clipping along the Autobahn at Mach everything, and in a 718 Cayman. This is last week, and up come this big black C4, right, triple black with black wheels, and he has a pinata hanging from his mirror.
Fuck out of here!
That's awesome.
And they ran 100 miles an hour. It's awesome.
And Mexicans in Germany.
No, I think it was for some sort of maybe not pinata like a floral arrangement. Anyway, and the man he could have been Turkish, awesome. It was could have been a festival, but I let him pass. He was like,
we were in Tuscany for the honeymoon 2 weeks ago, and I saw very few cool cars. There's not a lot of cool cars in that area, in that part of the world. And the only truly notable cool car I saw Delta Integrale, like Evo with the big wing on it and shit. It was rad. And I saw like a 1984 two-tone tuned port injection C4 Corvette, like an early shit pile one, and a guy driving in the Italian countryside on Italian plates, pleased as fucking punch with himself.
Yeah, I could say that.
I mean, I drove here from Jersey. I wanted to go home.
It codes very differently in Europe. A car like that looks very different, presents very differently, sends a whole different set of meanings, and it's cool. I'm down with that. If I were, an Italian gentleman and I wanted to bomb around, swing a dick, that would be a good car.
You know what I saw in Monaco at the in front of the casino during the Grand Prix? It's like Veyron, Koenigsegg, whatever.
Yeah.
And then a 1989 Cadillac Fleetwood with the 4-liter, like the Crossfire inject or whatever the fuck it was, like the shitty one, not the dope one we saw earlier today.
Right.
Like the front wheel drive terrible one, and somebody, not the 90s one, the 80s one, and somebody, I think it was an 89. Or is it? Like 88, 89.
This is a brilliant innovation, by the way, with Zach looking these pictures up in real time. This is great.
And it was...
Can't tell if serious.
Someone had imported really this thing to...
Yeah.
Someone had imported that to Monaco and was driving it around, and they parked that shit right up front of the casino.
Wow.
That's the person that will buy a trip to space for 4 minutes, because they're like, look, I bought this car as a joke, and then I brought it to Monaco on my yacht. and then when they leave, they probably just throw it in the ocean.
That would be the biggest flex ever, to roll up in like a 200-foot yacht and crane this thing. Starts like the Uncle Buck car.
My friend sold. Look up this, a '66 Fleetwood sedan. Cadillac Fleetwood sedan. So my friend's husband died. He had one of these cars. I don't know why. It would not be my first choice or last.
Wow.
Right.
It's like straight out of The Godfather.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Godfather limo.
It's the Godfather limo. And it was bought by a Dutch family. And I gave it a good bill of health, and they shipped it to Holland.
Yeah.
and they ride around on Sundays.
Big American cars are huge.
They love that. They love
that.
those things, and that's their Sunday car.
There's a guy, I know this car, there's a guy who's got one of these around here on big Detroit steels and airbags, and it looks fucking sick.
I'd slam one of these. I think that would be, Riv, a slam Riv is still my favorite.
Boattail or 60s?
Boattail, of course.
A slammed Boattail Riv? My man.
Yeah, I think that is the greatest.
Page, my friend.
I think this is the greatest.
Fucking Boattail Riviera.
Let's see a slam Boattail Riv. Are we done now? Have I,
Not almost, but I'm actually sorry.
No, we're good. I have a dinner reservation 8:30 in Venice.
Yeah, I gotta go too. But I'm sorry for people.
We'll answer questions.
General watch question. Wants to get into the watch game. Fun but not luxury. Fiance wants to get a nice wedding gift. Should you get a basic Rolex or should you get sort of a fun other micro brand? I think you should get in the Rolex game because you're just parking the money and you'll get it back guaranteed. Steal Rolex sport watches. That's all your first watch. You can wear it for everything. Let's see. Should I be concerned with the occasional 30-degree morning with a set of Pilot Super Sports? No, you'll be fine. Except for 3 days of cold weather, you'll be fine. Don't drive fast.
Wait a minute. You contradict yourself. It's 30 if it's 30 degrees, your sport pilots are going to be hard.
They will be, but he says 3 days of snow at most.
Oh, okay.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Would you daily drive a car in your own hometown with Pilot Super Sports on it?
Man,
all season.
All season.
Would you use them as all seasons?
Well, are they summers and use them all
he's
season?
asking if you can drive these year round. There's only 3 days of snow, but he's concerned about the.
No, man. I tell you what, I've had so many of those tires go hard on me at 45 degrees. No snow on the ground, just cold. And it's real. I think tires need to be warm.
I agree. So
I
you
don't
would say
know.
no. It's your town.
I say all seasons.
Okay.
Don't get the summers.
All right, the guy who lives in your town says that's it.
Yeah.
Says there you go.
Well, sort of town.
Sean says best new diesel mid-size truck for daily driving, fuel economy, and occasional race car hauler. I have no fucking clue.
I don't think there is
none.
One. And there's one. Their diesel. Ford is going to have a diesel option, but whatever.
I'm sorry, Sean. I haven't driven a diesel pickup truck
Ford
since
Ranger
2013.
Ford
The
Ranger
Ranger's great.
Well, a Ford Ranger will have a diesel option in 6 months
To compete with.
It's okay.
Colorado.
It's okay. It's old. It's old design. 40
Yeah,
Not for here, but okay.
Yeah, but they've been making in like South America and shit forever.
I'm just happy that there's small trucks back.
Well,
me too.
that is if the price was right. I don't know what the price could be.
It's in the
right.
40s.
Yes,
Yeah.
the price is
Everything's out of its mind.
Yeah, I can't hang with the $40,000 midsize truck.
Let's see. I'm not. Why do I hate on the M235i? I just think it's a middle ground that stinks. Brazen Range. Should I get an Lexus LC500 for the canyons? Would I miss the 86's handling?
Yeah.
No and yes. LC500 is a beautiful tourer and daily driver. I wouldn't get one as a canyon car.
No.
I mean, it'll do the
last
canyons, but
Last four.
It will not. It's not. It doesn't like to. It's heavy. It leans a bit. But man, they're good looking. Ooh.
Ford wants to know. Ford Sony 13 wants to know. Should I get a late 2000s LS460, a 4-year-old Genesis 5-liter, or an Ecus as a daily? Get the Lexus. Definitely. So all similar price. Yeah, right.
You know what? I'm gonna defer. I'm not sure. That's a good
LS460.
Okay.
I will declare.
You have a lot of experience with those cars.
M2 competition thoughts. I haven't driven it. Zach
Watch
made a
my
video.
video.
On it.
Made a video
go
on
watch
it.
Zach's
Go
video.
watch my
I've
videos.
driven that.
like it.
Anybody love a Dynan M2?
Yes, because they make it softer and faster. And it's the best.
Oh, interesting.
Dynan usually soft. I drove their C63 AMG recently, and they softened it slightly.
Well, you front end soft?
What?
And when you say soft, like how?
They soften this. Well, on the C63, they soften the spring rate slightly, even though they lower it. Just because
I can see that.
Because one of Steve's complaints was like cars are just made too stiff because that's what feels quote sporty. So just soften it up a little bit. It's compliant. It maintains traction, etc., etc.
Small wheel and tire set if you want. You could.
Also true. Also true.
Jerry says, "What's more fun to drive, Countach 911 or the $300 Volvo from a shitbox car video?"
I believe that would be to you.
Shitbox car video. The shitbox cars are always the most fun to
Although I
drive.
can't believe that you were comfortable in the Countach. The Countach.
I am actually. It's more comfortable than an Aventador.
But I know. But your seat is offset.
No, it's not.
Your steering wheel is offset.
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's not. The pedal box is narrow, but it's not offset.
Okay.
Ferraris are way more offset than the Countach. I promise.
Okay.
I would say the truth about that car, even if the truth isn't complimentary. I promise.
I guess it's the foot box that I remember.
The pedal box is narrow. I have to take my shoes off to drive it. I got pulled over last week speeding, and I had to get out of the car barefoot.
That's what it is.
That's
it's
funny.
not that the steering wheel is offset. It's that your feet are. You have to have your feet over sort of.
Your feet are. Your left foot is a little offset. Your right foot is straight, but your left foot has to be here. The entire pedal box is maybe 10 inches wide.
That's right. How's a heel and toe on that?
When I'm barefoot, fucking great. It's fine.
Barefoot.
It's California. I drive barefoot all the time anyways. Flip flops, kick them off, drive barefoot. I've been driving manual gearbox barefoot for 2 decades.
I know. I can see you get used to it.
Great pedal feel. Great pedal feel with fucking no shoes on.
I can't get comfortable with no shoes. I do flip flops. I'm fine with that. But
if I was a little more comfortable with how my feet looked, I'd make a video of driving barefoot. But I have ugly fucking bread loaf feet. So
what a
feet
to say.
Actually, you know what? Feet are feet, but the internet is also the internet.
I know.
That's right.
I'm not going to present myself out there for that.
No. I mean, there's just so far you can go.
I know.
Wow.
What is the E39 M5 of watches? Naveed 7861. Oh God, E39 M5. Good
Great,
for its
but breaks.
Great for its time. Maybe a little overly complicated to service. The Zenith El Primero. Look it up.
Wow.
Sumit says, more watch questions.
I have one too. After them.
I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
Optimum for vintage Rolex day date, other than Ref 1803, maybe.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't understand your question. Last one. Michael's looking for a slightly used luxury daily driver around 25 or 30 G's. Reliable, good tech, comfortable. Should I get a 2017 and up IS350 F Sport versus an A4 or a BMW 340i M-Pack? I like the idea of used Lexuses.
Yes.
Used Lexuses warm my heart.
And a much smarter, safer buy.
Yeah, that what was the it was 350 F Sport?
350 F
fun car.
Sport. Those are fun.
Yeah,
very fun.
I would a little bit of body garnish. I think would make it nice. I could just a little aftermarket something.
Yeah, you can do cool wheels on those. There's
Yeah,
a lot of cool stuff
little
you can
bit.
do.
I would like
See
to
if I can
change
ever-
the trim garnish in the back of the car. There must be a solution for that.
Black it all out. Black out everything.
Something like that. But
All
they
black.
are not. I say yes. Oh, by the way, so here's my watch question. So what does a Seiko mean to you anymore?
I mean, it's a lot of things. I think Seiko as a brand is is a lot like Toyota as a brand. They're dependable. Some of their models are stylish. They have some that are very cheap, and they have others that are very expensive, and some that are very functional.
They have not courted the prestige or luxury buyer.
Well, the Grand Seiko is doing extremely well right now. Grand Seiko is blown up in America. They have a whole North American division. They have a boutique on Rodeo Drive that you should, if you haven't checked out, you should go check out while you're in town. It's really cool. I have a Grand Seiko that I love.
I'm trying to find a watch that is a mechanical look, quartz movement, and isn't.
You want a quartz movement? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't want the dick watch. Well, you know what really bothers me about my two mechanical watches? That's a Chopard and a Rolex. They lose time, and I know
They probably need service.
I guess.
That's an indicator of a watch that needs service, Dan. I'm sorry to tell you.
Is it a couple seconds a month? Is that within the range?
A couple seconds a month? No, a couple seconds a month is within range.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's okay. So
a couple seconds a month is
I
actually
think the
pretty
Chopard
good.
is actually losing more time, but I don't think the Chopard is actually as well built.
It's not.
I
As a Rolex, it's not. Rolexes are really well-made watches.
It would seem so. But anyway, that was my thought.
Sumit, he followed up. He said he was asking your opinion on a vintage day date.
Opinion. He wants a vintage day date. I mean, look, the day date. Did he say day date or just date just?
He said day date.
Day dates. The real difference with day dates is when they switched from the hollow bracelet links to the solid ones. The hollow ones are much cheaper. So the day date, also known as a Rolex President, has the day across the top, day of the week, and the date. It's the watch Tony Soprano wore. It's the watch many of our U.S. presidents have worn. That's why it's called the President. It has a unique bracelet. It's called the President's bracelet It's similar to the Jubilee bracelet that I have on my GMT, but it's a little different and it has an invisible clasp on the bottom side. So it came in a lot of different dials, a lot of different. This full gold here is kind of the standard look. They're small though. Like a vintage one is going to be a small watch, a 34 or 36 millimeters. So if you have a wrist over like 6.5, 7, it's going to look a little weird. But they're cool. They are always a classic. They hold their value extremely well. The problem with a used one is if the gold is really bashed up, because people wore them as daily watches. The gold can be soft, and it can be kind of dented and dinged up. What the fuck website is this?
Photoshop is hilarious.
This Photoshop is so funny.
This website's called Torno.
Torno's a jewelry store, but there's like a configurator that just shows a model, and look, it just places the.
They didn't want to pay the model to actually wear the watch, so they really badly photoshopped it over some stock footage.
Kind of funny.
It's pretty funny.
They're lovely watches. If it fits your wrist, if it doesn't look too small, go for it. All right. Dan, do you want to promote anything other than your Wall Street Journal column?
No. Everything is thoroughly promoted. You can find me. The subscriptions are modestly priced. I think it's like $1,500
a year.
So like $1,500 a year. So
yeah,
crazy.
Dan's cool enough that he doesn't have to do social media, which is awesome.
Well, that's because I was dangerous on social media. Bad for business.
That's very funny.
It's untrue. But yeah, it's great to see. And I'm sorry we're not rocking some cars. Maybe next time we can go out and get some wheels under us.
Mm-hmm. Thanks very much for coming in, dude.
Yeah, man,
see you soon. The Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is a microphone, a connection to the internet, and something to say. We have our next live show is going to be I don't know. Do we not have anything scheduled for next week? I'm gonna have to schedule a show for next week. I only got the 24th and 25th on the schedule now. Harley and and Aaron Robinson. We're gonna have to figure that one out for next week. All right, kids, that's our show. Good night.